The second thing I'm going to do is how do you do structured client management? There are nuances of how to deal with clients and the everyday issues. How do you manage that? That's the second thing I'm going to do. And the third thing I'm going to look at is frameworks, which is extremely important. And that is what the agenda for today. So that is the agenda for today. Tomorrow, the entire theme is going to be on application. Today, the theme is on foundation. Tomorrow, the entire theme is going to be an application. We're going to do some real world. We're going to pick a consulting problem and you're going to solve this end to end. That's the first thing we will do tomorrow. Second thing we will look at is data. Data is something that's not often spoken about in our part of the world. A lot of data is junk. Either it's not available or so much is available. You don't know what to do with it. How do you analyze data? And the third thing we will do tomorrow is some jargons which you need to know if you want to succeed in consulting. Elevator pitch, for one, is one of the jargons. Day three is the most important day, and the day three theme is called amplification. You should not miss day three. First, we're going to start with AI. How do we use AI as independent consultants to become more efficient in our day to day work? That's the first thing we're going to look at. Second thing we're going to look at is all the practical aspects of setting up a business. How much you should price, how do you get clients, why will someone come to you, what are legal structures, how do you negotiate, what are deal structures, all of this we look at. And the final module on day three is all your individual specific questions on your career and your brand. So this is the overall agenda for the 3 days. So today is foundation, tomorrow is application, and day three, which is Sunday, is amplification. This is the overall agenda in terms of how we are going to run this 3 days. Some rules for you. It's a fairly large audience that we have. So some rules I have for you. Please request you to follow them. One is please have a pen and paper with you. We are going to have a lot of interactive activities, start in some time. You'll need to do a lot of activities on your own. That's something that's important. So please have a pen and paper with you. Second thing on the notes is I keep writing on slides and I will be writing on iPad. Both of these will be shared to you at the end of the class. At the end of the class, it will be shared. How will you get it? You have to join this WhatsApp community. That is where all this information is being shared. Even my notes that I'm going to use is going to be this is a live session, so no recordings will be given, but all the notes that I'm going to do is going to be shared on that WhatsApp community. The third is please have your videos on. We are in a client facing business and we have to be in this mindset of having our videos on. Our face is the biggest source of trust that we have, which research has proved. It's very important to have our videos on. I'm also going to push you to do the right thing. So all those who do not have videos on, I will not answer their Q&A and I will not give them a chance in the interactive exercises. So please have your videos on. I'm trying to push you to do the right thing in terms of that. Fourth is how will the session run? Some basic rules. A lot of you will be speaking through the session. Be respectful of others. Please be respectful. Consulting is as much art and as much science it is. You may not agree with your peers. You may not agree with me. This is not mathematics where all answers are 0 and 1. So please be respectful to others. Please maintain decorum and please appreciate alternate viewpoints. How will today's session run? The way today's session will run is the core content, which I will cover, will be about 1 hour and 45 minutes. 1 hour and 45 minutes. I'll take about the core content. You will also have one interactive breakout exercise during that. I will not take any Q&A during this period. This 1 hour 45 minutes, I will not take any Q&A because the line of rationale is as my narrative goes, a lot of questions anyway get answered. Or secondly, I don't want to put a break in the middle. It disrupts the flow. It's in the evening. Some people have to go back also after that. So once I finish my core content after 1 hour 45 minutes, after that is where I will take all the Q&A together. So my request is if you have questions along the way, note it down. When we come, once the session is over, I'm going to take all the questions. Final thing, as a request to all of you is how do you make the best of this session? Please take a lot of notes. You will anyway get what I'm using. The more you write, the better it is for you. But one thing I have seen is through the session today, I will be speaking, a lot of your peers will be speaking, a lot of your peers will be asking questions. One of the best ways to drive retention in your mind is actually to press this react button. So you have a react button. So whenever you hear something nice, any insight that resonated with you, whether I'm speaking, your peer is speaking, press the react button, send in a like, send in a heart. Why do we say that? One is, of course, the speaker, me or your peers, it's motivating to see that. But more importantly, there's a section in your brain which is called the hippocampus. And the more you press it, the more it gets registered in your brain. So anything that you resonate with, any idea that you like, just keep engaging with that react button. It is about getting it imprinted in your brain. It's one of the easiest hacks in neurochemistry to actually drive retention. All right. So on that note, let's get started in terms of today's agenda. So, what is the first thing we are going to look at? The first thing we are going to look at is where is the opportunity? Where is the opportunity? I touched upon this in the webinar. We are going to go into more depth in this session. What do I want you to do from this module? I am showing you what is the goalpost. I am basically showing you what is the goalpost. This is, and I'll give you a laundry list of ideas. Please ask yourself what offering, what model may work for you. And the rest of the 2.5 days, you will try and come to this goalpost. So, this is the destination. We are starting with what is the possible destination. As I keep giving you the options, ask yourself what are you resonating most with? That is your destination. The rest of the 2.5 days will take you to this destination. That's how you look at it. So let's look at the many cuts I'm going to give you. The first cut is in terms of what are the type of work which is going to boom which over the next 10 years, whether you're looking at a market like India, Southeast Asia, the Gulf region. There are three broad areas of work which are really going to dominate. So some of you may be asking, what should be my niche? What should be my core offering? One of these three have to be your niche, because this is going to operate at scale. Common sense, what I'm going to write. The first one is digital transformation. Over the next 10 years, every company is going to be in this. That is number one piece of work. We'll go into more depth as we go in the next subsequent few minutes. Second, we will go into is go to market strategy. What does go to market strategy mean? I will get into it. And number three is change management and execution. These are the three big pieces of work which are going to really dominate the consulting landscape over the next 10 years. And when I say this, three big pieces of work, I mean B2B, I mean B2C clients, I mean across industries and across regions. Any cut you can think of, these three pieces of work are going to dominate. So one of the things people ask is what should be my niche? One of these three you definitely need to have, because this is like a hero offering. You will always get work if you have one of these three. Let's go into depth into each of them. Let's start with digital transformation. So what exactly is digital transformation? What is the type of work that's coming in digital transformation? The first one and the most common one is like process remapping. You pick an existing process, you remap it, get in digital solutions, and you make it better. So, for example, the government may say today it takes 45 days to get a driving license. Can you redesign the process, bring in some digital solutions so it doesn't take 45 days to get a driving license, but gets 7 days to get a driving license? This is typically an example of digital transformation, most common piece of work. The second type of digital transformation piece of work is AI consulting. Now, this has become such a buzzword in this area. Everybody is getting into AI consulting. But the question is this lucrative or not? And let me give you some perspective on this. So, process remapping is extremely lucrative. Over the next 10 years, it will dominate. AI consulting is a little tricky because if you see, is there demand for this work? Yes, definitely there is demand. Everybody is talking about it. Nobody has cracked the ROI question. They are spending so much money of it. The problem with AI consulting is there is too much supply. There are so many AI consultants in the market, and when you have so much supply, typically prices start coming down. Unless you're a serious brand, you become a commodity. Also, the pace of change is so fast, sometimes it becomes tricky to keep pace with what is happening in AI. That's why this is a tricky offering in terms of AI consultant. The third big area of opportunity, and this has not come to India or the Gulf region. This is very big in China, very big in South Korea. It's going to come to India and UAE over the next 5 years, is what is called social commerce. Every company is going to embrace this thing called social commerce, which is commerce through social media. There are three mediums, three pieces of work that come here. This is not yet there. It's going to be a booming piece of work over the next 10 years. One is, of course, selling through social media. So, for simple example, you have seen my ads on Instagram or YouTube and you have come. Its example is that. So companies will increasingly go on social media and use it as lead generation engine, the way you have seen my ads and you have come here. The second is what is called live streaming. This is going to become very, very big. So in a market like China, for example, what is live streaming? There is a camera. I switch on the camera and I go live with my all my followers, and I keep selling items. Could be clothes, could be apparel, could be anything. Now in China, this is so big that 500 million people are addicted to live streaming. There is a man who's called Lipstick King. I don't know how many of you know about this story. There's a man who's called Lipstick King. He comes, he applies lipstick on his face, and he sells millions of dollars of lipstick every day. This is a man doing this. So, for some of you, if independent consulting does not work out, here is an alternate career option for you to consider. The third piece of work, which is very, very big in social commerce, is what is called group buying. What is group buying? It basically is, for example, if one person, there's a very famous company called Pinduoduo. This is a Chinese company dominating the world. Misho tried to do this, did not quite succeed. So group buying is very simple. I, as a consumer, if I buy a bag of rice for $2, group buying means the company tells me you get a friend and you can now get a 10% discount. So if you buy more as a group, you get more discounts on individual items. So this is the third piece of work. Hasn't come in yet, but is going to become very big over the next 10 years. So the first one, this has become big. This is becoming big. This is going to be big. That's how you look at the three pieces of work in digital transformation. So this is the first type of work that we looked at. The second type of work we're going to look at is in terms of go to market strategy. What does this mean? First of all, a lot of people say go to market, route to market. Both are the same thing. They are the same thing. It's just different nomenclatures for the same exercise. So route to market, go to market means the same thing. Number one. Number two is, what does go to market mean in simple English? It means what should be my sales and marketing strategy. In simple English, this is what it means. What should be my sales and marketing strategy? So I'll take all questions at the end for all of you who are sending me questions. So why is this important? Because all Asian markets are growing. All Asian markets are growing. Growth is the story across Asian markets, and hence this piece of work becomes very important. How do I launch a new product? How do I launch a new service? How do I scale up sales for a new product? What should be, should I partner with somebody? Should I go alone? These are the questions which are asked. This is all Asian markets, and this is for B2B clients, and this is for B2C clients, for both. If your client is a technology player in the B2B space, go to market is important. If your client sells toothpaste like B2C, it becomes important. So this is the second biggest important piece of work over the next decade. The third important piece of work is what is called change management and execution. So why is this important? You may have heard, some of you may have heard about the McKinsey CEO's interview in HBR, and what he said is, 40% of all their work going forward is going to be execution. And change management is so important because 70% of transformation projects anyway fail because they don't do change well. Hence, this is the third biggest piece of work that is important. Why am I showing you this cut? The reason I'm showing you this cut is these are the massive pieces of work that are coming in. So if you want a niche, one of these three at least you have to know very well. That is what I'm showing you. This is like a hero offering. This is like an offering that will always sell. So if you can do all three, nothing like it, but you have to do one of the three, or else you won't have a sizable kind of work coming your way. So this is the first cut in terms of opportunity. Yes, you will get this notes at the end of the day in the WhatsApp community. It will be shared. Now let's look at the second cut across the value chain. I gave you the first cut at a macro level. Now let's look at the second cut. We will go into each part of the value chain. So let's start with procurement. What does procurement mean? Basically, I'm getting raw material from suppliers. That is what is procurement. Under procurement, what is the big piece of work that is coming in? It is about vendor sourcing. Vendor sourcing in a limited risk way. What does this mean? If you see what is happening with geopolitics right now, the war in the Middle East has stopped. Again, the firing is going on. It is not stopping yet. Now, as a result, all companies are thinking, where should I? So, Apple is thinking, where should I make my iPhone? Should I make it in China? Should I make it in Vietnam? Should I go to the US? Should I make it in India? And these are huge questions. So, all the pharma companies are now thinking that all our ingredients come from China. Is it a safe bet, or should we diversify from elsewhere, go to Africa for some of these ingredients? All the companies are thinking about this. That's why this is a big piece of work that is coming in, given all the geopolitics and given all the tariffs that are there in the picture. The second thing is, let's look at manufacturing. If you have a manufacturing bent of mind, one of the things with manufacturing is across Asia, about across Asia, if you see, only 80% of capacity is used. What does this mean? If a plant can produce 100 items across Asia on average, only 80 is getting produced. So 20 is idle, which means you're losing money. The plant is anywhere running, but you're losing the 20. So one big piece of work is, how do you increase capacity utilization? How do you take this 80% to actually a 90-95% productivity? Because the plant is anyway running, you're losing that money, but you're not able to do anything about that idle capacity. So one of the big pieces of work is manufacturing is across Asian markets is capacity utilization. Let's look at the third piece of work, which is logistics. Logistics, there is a huge opportunity with last mile logistics. Some of you, we all have got used to quick commerce in our life, 10-minute delivery, 30-minute delivery. We are all getting used to it. But this needs a lot of last mile logistics, whether it's mapping pin codes, whether it's having a fleet, getting the right algorithm. Managing this last mile logistics is becoming a huge opportunity area for clients, especially as people go into the interiors. When you go past the top capital cities and go into the interiors. Next, let's look at sales and marketing. Under sales and marketing, what are the big pieces of work that are coming in? One big piece of work is customer experience. So a lot of companies who are in retail, think of companies like Carrefour, think of Shoppers Stop, think of even the Apple stores in retail, pure retail, selling either washing machines, selling, think of a Zara, think of all these retail oriented companies are looking at how do we bring in the best of customer experience. Because what is now happening across Asia is, after COVID, everybody thought the mall traffic would collapse and people would only buy online. That has not happened. Mall traffic has shot up, so people are searching online but buying a lot from stores. And to keep customers hooked, you need customer experience at stores. So retail customer experience at stores, at malls is becoming a huge piece of work, and a huge piece of demand is coming into the picture. The next thing is in terms of community. Every company in the, especially in the B2C space, is looking at how can you build us a community. So the common problem is build me a community of 1 million consumers. This doesn't mean Instagram. It just means a community. There are ways to do it. Instagram is one way. How do you build me a community? A huge problem that clients are asking for. Let's look at HR. Let's look at other functions in the picture. So the coaching business is a huge business that is coming in. It is absolutely booming. I'm sure a lot of you are in the coaching business or planning to get in the coaching business. Send me a thumbs up if some of you are interested in the coaching business. A lot of you should be. It's a very, very big opportunity. So, what does coaching mean? Coaching can be one to one coaching. That means I am talking to one person, or it can be one to many, which is a group coaching. Think of it as training in simple English. Both of this is absolutely booming because you need to upskill talent at every level. Coaching is an excellent business that is happening. So, any of you in this space, this is really, really going to boom over the next few years. The next thing that is really in booming is analytics, etc. GCC, you may have known this space. GCCs are really scaling up all Asian markets. So one of the thing with analytics is in terms of course, creating better dashboards, everything in terms of greater input intelligence. But the larger question is how can they show value? How can they show value? Today, they are all seen as cost entities. They are seen as cost drivers. How do they become value drivers? Is a big part of this question that is coming in. The last thing we will look at is I'm assuming a lot of you come from the IT background also. Even in tech, the typical type of work clients are asking for is do a roadmap for me. Can you build a 3 month roadmap, for example, in terms of how I should use AI? Or can you do a 3 month roadmap in terms of how I can migrate to the cloud? Or look at my cyber security and how should I do it? So, this roadmap work, 3 month roadmap, I'm just giving you some top examples of AI, cloud, cyber are becoming very, very important. So, these are in terms of more depth in terms of what is actually working. So this is the second cut. First cut, I gave you a macro view. Second cut, I gave you more a function view in terms of what model is working. One piece of one type of client, this is the third cut I'm actually giving you, is going to be the future, which is called family owned businesses. And a lot of people ignore them. Why is family, what is a family owned business? Someone, a man typically owns a business, say 60, 65-year old, and now is looking to hand it over to his son or daughter. So father handing over to son or father handing over to daughter. Now, why is this important for you? Because 70% of businesses across Asia are family owned businesses. 70% of businesses are family owned. So by volume, they're very important. Secondly, the greatest succession is actually happening now. So the father is handing over to the son, or the father is handing over to the daughter. Right now, this is happening. What does this mean for you? What this means for you is the next generation needs support. So they will need support in terms of strategy. Can you build me a 3 year strategy? Whether it's technical strategy, technological strategy, growth strategy, whatever it is, 3 to 10 year strategy, they will need support. Secondly, is as you will know, a lot of these become very, very difficult conversation. There is friction between father son, friction between father and daughter typically happens. The father thinks the son or the daughter don't know the real world, they are privileged. The son or the daughter typically think the father is old school and the father doesn't know. Classic tension comes in between the older and the newer generation. So one big element of work that is coming is what is called succession planning. This is a huge demand. If someone, you are like a trusted advisor, if you can talk to the previous generation and the next generation and sort out the differences, there is huge money to be made in this cut. So this is a part of business which people ignore. This is where the bread and butter of independent consulting. So this is the third cut in terms of where is a huge opportunity that is there. I'm going to give you the fourth cut in terms of what are the models of consulting. I'll tell you there are many models, but I'm going to give you three big models of consulting. If you want to pursue this independent consulting, there are three models. So the first model is, now everybody thinks of consulting and they think, no, I have to set up my business. No, you don't have to set up your business. The first cut is you can go and become the CEO route. You can move to the CEO and you can move to the CXO route. So everything that we teach here, and you don't have to set up a business. You can use everything that we are teaching here and move up in your company to be a CXO and CEO route. Some of the reality of the situation today is, if you are above 40 plus or 45 plus, this is the harsh reality, you are seen as a liability. Anything goes wrong, your name will be first in the chopping block. So this is the reality, but you can of course go on to become the CEO or the CXO. The second route is what we traditionally understand by consulting, which means you get clients, you serve them, and you make money. This is what we typically understand as consulting. This is the model number two. There are pros and cons of each. We'll get into it over the next 3 days. The third model, which most people do not speak about, is very interesting, which is called the advisory model, which is very, very interesting. What does this mean? Here, you basically become a, so the model you follow here is you become a keynote speaker, you become directors on boards, you become advisors meaning you do it like 1 day a week. You don't do it full time consulting. Your company comes to you, you say you'll give them 1 day a week. This is what the advisor. So, or you become a B school faculty. All of this you're doing together. You can write books, and this model you can do a bit of training. This model is actually very, very lucrative. Most people do not talk about it. This model is very, very lucrative. So there are three models of consulting. You don't have to make a choice today. I'm just telling you what is the universe that is available to you. So traditionally everybody thinks this is the only model. No, there are three models. Everything that you're going through, you can make a choice. You don't have to make a choice today. I'm just giving you the universe of what is available. Do not ignore model 3. So this is the fourth cut I gave you in terms of what are the various models that are available in consulting. We'll talk about this in the Q&A session. I'm sure you'll have question. What is the fifth cut? The fifth cut, which is most important, is what does it take to actually succeed in the independent consulting space? Now you will see in the US, and the US is 5 years ahead of where we all are, independent consulting has taken off. Independent consulting has absolutely taken off. But the reality of the situation is it's only the top 20% that are making the real money in this situation. It is only the top 20%. The rest 80% are largely commodities, which basically means the market decides how much they can charge. It's only the top 20% who are making in the moolah. Now, in our part of the world, independent consulting is just taking off. So all of you are at the right stage to capture in the boom before it really takes off. The question is, what does it really take to succeed and come in the top 20%? And I'll tell you the difference. There is a person who's called Dr. Ramcharan. Some of you may know, he and I do workshops together. His daily rate is $50,000 or 50 lakhs a day. $50,000 he charges. The smallest of companies pay him that because he's not even top 20%, he's top 1%. And if you see normal people, they don't even make 1,000th of that. So that is the power of coming in that top 20%. The difference in daily rate just goes above the roof. And I'll give you some idea about the daily rate on day 3. So this is why this cut is so important. Because if you can cup in that top 5%, it's an insane pricing you can actually charge. So what does it take? There's a certain set of hard skills and there are certain set of soft skills, some both of which we'll target over the next 3 days. So number one is personal brand, goes without saying. There is a whole science to personal brand. Some of it we will discuss, but personal brand has to be there. This is the single biggest indicator of how much you can charge. Number one. Number two, we have a full module with that in terms of frameworks. Frameworks are extremely critical. We have a full module. I'm going to explain what it is. That is what framework is, the second biggest thing. Third, sounds a little floozy, but mindset is supremely important. Most independent consultants who don't do well have actually a poor mindset. So, mindset is extremely important. So, the personal brand matters, the framework matters. Third is the mindset. What are some of the softer skills that is required? So, one is storytelling. This is the skill of the decade. Whichever model you want to pursue, this is the skill of the decade. We'll do a couple of tactics over the next 3 days, but nothing like storytelling. Second is you need to understand culture, because the real money is building a global name. It's not dominating your country, it's dominating globally. That is when margins, rates really shoot up. Third is knowing how to negotiate. It's very, very important. There's a very famous saying that you don't get what you deserve in life, you get what you negotiate in life. So, this is something also we will touch in day three. So, these are some of the elements that are required to come in that top 20%. All of them are important. This is not a choice. All of them are important that needs to be done. So this is what it takes to win. So what are the cuts that we looked at? So we looked at what are the three big areas of opportunity. Then we went into a second cut in terms of what are the big pieces of work across functions. The third cut we looked at is family owned businesses are very important. How do you look at that? Fourth cut we looked at what are the various models of consulting. And the fifth cut we looked at what does it really take to get to the point you're really growing. What are the hard skills and what are the soft skills? So this is, I've given you a macro view of the whole industry to start with. What you should ask at this point, as I was going through those various cuts, which of the pieces of work or which of the model appeals to you? The answers will keep evolving, but start having an initial answer in your mind. So, among the three pieces of work, which one appeals to you? Among the functions pieces of work, which one appeals to you? The three models I showed you, which model appeals to you? So, you have to ask, this is the destination I'm taking you through. The rest of the 2.5 days is in terms of how do you get to the destination. So, this is the first piece of what I wanted to cover today. Now, let's go to the second part, which is structured client management. Now, we will, whatever business you go into, whether it's module one or module two or module three, if you're dealing with your CEO, you have to manage your CEO. If you're setting up a consulting business with clients, you have to manage clients. Even if you go with module three, you will be advisors, you will be working with board members, you'll need to manage people. So, how do you do structured client management? It's what I'm going to tell you is a repository of best practices. All of this is common sense. I'm sure you know all of this. A lot of you are very, very experienced, but treat it as a place where all these practices are coming together. The more best practices, what I'm going to write down, the more you follow, the better it is going to be for you. The lesser chance of mistakes will happen. It is common sense. All of you know it, but I'll just tell you how to do structured client management. Remember, this is for all three modules. Whether you want to be a CXO, you want to set up your own consulting practice, or you want to go in that advisory model. Whichever model you pick, all of this is going to be responsible. This is common sense. We don't do it. That's why we get into trouble. So let's start with, this is a 5-step process. We are going to go into each of the steps with a little bit of detail. So what is step number one? Step number one is clarify the scope. Common sense again, in terms of a lot of you who come from the technology background will know scope is such a huge issue. So scope is in terms of what are the boundaries of the program or what are the boundaries of the engagement. Why is scope such an issue? Because if you do not, because your entire costing is about your scope, and if the scope changes, then your costing goes out of the window. So initially, if you assume you're going to do this only for one region, and suddenly after 4 months, the client says, no, no, you have to do this piece of work for 4 regions, your entire costing has gone out of the window. That is why scope matters. What is the root cause? Why is this conversation so difficult in the first place? Here are two pieces of insight. One is, and this sounds harsh, As people get older, they get more stupid. This is a reality. So as clients get older, they get more stupid. So in my own case, my IQ 10 years younger was so much higher than what I am. And my IQ 10 years later will be much lower than where I am. So one of the realities is clients don't know what they want. Some of you are smiling. It is true. Clients do not know what they want. At the most senior most levels, they have some vague, fluzy idea in their mind. This is one of the underlying root cause. The second root cause is too many stakeholders. Now, what happens when you have too many stakeholders? You have a CIO, you have a head of manufacturing. When you have too many stakeholders, each person has a different understanding of what the scope is, and there is no alignment. And hence, when you start the program, this blows up in your face later on. This is the underlying root cause. So, the question is, how do you address it? There are always four questions you have to ask as a best practice. So this is always has to get asked. So here are the four questions. I'm going to just write these down for you. You will get these notes. It will come in the WhatsApp group you're a part of. So you always have to ask them, what is the product or service you have in mind for this program? Is it all products? Is it some products? Is it product one, product two? What is the product or the service you have in mind? Similarly, what is the region you have in mind? Is it one country? Is it one state? Is it all countries? Is it all states? You have to explicitly get your client to answer these questions, or else later it will blow up in your face. Third, what are the channels you have in your mind? New channels, old channels, all channels, digital channels, traditional channels, and what is your time horizon? 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. This alignment has to happen and ideally should go into your contract. Ideally should go into your contract. What will happen is, anyway, in our part of the world, nobody honors contracts. But what this will do is, if you put it into a contract, at least your client will think of it a little more. One more thought they will give into this. So it either goes into the contract, or if you don't have a contract, a simple email or a letter of engagement. It has to go in here. The more you have it here, the better ring fenced you are. What are some of the risky things? Some clients are bad. Now, one of the things, if you hear things along the lines of, don't worry, we will figure it out. You cannot figure it out once a program and once a commercial has been agreed. You cannot figure it out. If any client tells you we will figure it out, it's a huge red flag. You cannot do it. All this agreement has to happen before the contract is signed, before your commercials have been agreed on. Step number one. All of this is common sense, but I'm just writing down as much as possible. Step number two goes without saying, what are you actually solving for? What is the objective? And this is where maximum programs actually go wrong. So let's start with the horror stories first. I have burnt my hands a lot, so you may see my voice getting very passionate when I'm talking about this. So one of the questions everybody asks is, how do I know the client is just fishing? Which means they're not interested. They're just coming to me trying to get ideas, and they will do this on their own. How do I know that they don't have any serious interest? They're just getting all my ideas and they're going to do this on my own. Very common problem. A lot of Asian clients operate in bad faith. How do you ensure this doesn't happen in the first place? This is the way to avoid it. Number one, there are certain questions you have to ask the client in the first meeting. One, first question you have to ask is, have you budgeted for this program? First, most important question, have you budgeted for this program? Why? Because remember, money doesn't come out of thin air. The money has to come from some cost code, it has to come from some budget. If you hear answers like, oh, we will figure this out, don't worry about the money, for the right person, we will pay the right amount, they are fishing. It is simple indicator they are fishing. If they give you clear answers, this is going to come from the CIO's budget, this is going to come from the L&D budget. If you get clear cost codes, it's a huge indicator they are not fishing around. So this is the most important question that you have to ask. The second question you have to ask is, when are you looking to start? You have to ask, when are you looking to start this program? Typically, if you get a clear answer, we are July end right now, say if people say in September first week we are looking to start, there is probably some intent. If people say something like, yeah, we will see as soon as possible, we will figure it out as soon as I get the approval, if they are not giving you a clear timeline, please understand, if they have come to you and if they are serious, they must have got some approval from their line manager. There is a broad approval they must have got, or else they cannot be speaking to you. So if they have an approval, they can give you a range. They will tell you mid-August, we are looking to start. If you do not get an answer like this, that means they are fishing around. These are two questions that are very important to ask. The third question, I'm sorry, I'm going through the horror stories first, then I'll come to the good part. It's not that all clients are bad, but it's important to not burn your hands. The third thing with Asian clients is a lot of them have this belief that how can you ask for money? You were supposed to do this for free for me. And when you start talking of commercials, they have this thing about how dare you ask for money? This was understood you will do this for free. So, and this is very common. Some of you are smiling, this happens. I mean, their face changes as if you've asked them for a kidney. How can you ask me for money? That is so offensive. You were supposed to do this for free for me. Now, how do you ensure that whatever is your billing rate, the client at least has that much budget? That much budget. So you don't want to go through the entire sales cycle and at the end of the day you realize those guys never had the money in the first place. So you want to cut off the bad connections. Now remember, these questions are not easy to ask, but this is all a part of the mindset. If you have the ability to ask these questions, you will save yourself critical time. You will focus on the important clients. So how do you know they can even afford to pay you in the first place? So in the first conversation, you'll have a good sense of what they are asking you. So you should typically say a 3-month program with me typically costs in the range of X to Y, in the range of X to Y, whether it's dollars or whatever is your currency. What this does is, one is, if you see them falling off the chair, you should know you're wasting time. No, this is too expensive. Oh my God. So we have all these other players who are so cheap. All of this, when you hear, don't waste your time. If they give you an indication of, yeah, that sounds fine, that's okay, then this means the conversation can go forward. These are the three questions. It's a part of mindset. If you can ask, and we all hesitate to ask, but if you ask, you will save yourself so much heartburn in any future conversation. Please ask this. It takes courage to ask this, but you will save yourself so much of energy. Now, coming to the good part of it, how do you define an objective? So one of the things that happens with objective is clients are vague. Clients are very, very vague. What does this mean? You will have clients will come and tell you something like, make me future ready. You will typically, this is a common piece of work that people say, make me future ready. Now what does this mean? Nobody knows. So for example, the tech guy, the CTO may be thinking that digital sales should be 50% of my total business. HR head may be thinking, I want the next generation of leaders. The CEO may be thinking future ready means my valuation multiple should be very high. Nobody knows what these words are. These are loose words. And hence you have to push, and this is your job, push all conversations towards a metric so that there is no issue later on. Now, clients sometimes don't know these metrics, they themselves are not clear. So, you have to push them towards metrics. What are types of metrics? The first type of metric is a financial metric. So, of course, what is a financial metric? So, one can be a revenue metric. A client may come to you and say, look, the industry is growing at 5%. I am only growing at 2%. Can you push my 2% growth to 5% growth? It's a revenue metric. The second type of metric can be a profit metric. A client can come and say, look, my profit is $100 million. Can you push it up to $120 million? It's a very clear metric in terms of financials. What is the second bucket? The second bucket in terms of where most of you will operate is process metrics. This is where most of you will operate. So what is process metrics? So one could be, and I'm just writing down the top, I'm sure there are more, is reducing turnaround time. A client may say, today for me to address complaints takes 11 days. Can you bring it down to 3 days? It's a classic process metric. Second could be, for example, an attrition metric. For example, a HR head may call you and say, look, my attrition is 21%. Can you bring it down to 13%? This is a attrition metric. Third is something like a model efficiency metric. This is for a lot of people who work in analytics and work in AI. So for example, a latest model that you built had a ability to predict of 57%. The client may tell you, can you take this ability to predict 57% to 80%? It's a model efficiency metric. So it can be turnaround time, it can be attrition, it can be model efficiency. Sometimes you may hear things in terms of net promoter scores, or say how happy customers are happy with your client. So a client may come and say, my customer happiness score, or net promoter score is the technical term, is 70%. Can you push it to 80%? Again, typically a common piece of work. If you're coming from the training space, a client may come and say something like, we have looked at our skill gap and my team only has two of the five required skill gaps. Can you push it to four out of the five skills that are needed? So if you're coming in the training space, this is the kind of process metric you will hear. So most of you will operate in the bucket two. As of now, mostly you're going to operate in bucket two. So you have to push your client towards one of the metrics, how much you are today and how much you need to be. Now, the third type is, sometimes problems are genuinely intangible. It is difficult. So, for example, I'll take all questions at the end, please, like I said. So sometimes problems are intangible. So, like I said, a common problem a lot of clients are saying is, make me future ready. This is a very common problem in consulting right now. Now, even when it is future ready, you have to push towards a metric. So, what does it mean? That percentage sales from digital channels should be greater than 10%. You're pushing them towards a metric. What does future ready mean? Or if it is an HR head, an HR head may say something like, the CXO minus one, I need to have a pipeline of 15 people. So, whatever it is, even when it is totally vague, you need to have a metric. Or if you are working with a CTO should say something like, build me a roadmap and a 3-year plan so that I have cost savings of $100 million over 3 years. So, whatever, no matter how vague it is, you have to translate this into a metric. Now, what you have to do with, so remember the formula of the metric. You need a metric, and you need a from, and you need a to, like I have been saying. Now, this needs to go in the contract. Again, this needs to go in the contract, or if you're not the contract type, the letter of engagement. Without this, you will have severe issues later on. All the programs where things go wrong is, this step has not been done well. So this step has to be done. And some of you may think, yes, this is common sense. What's the big deal? But you have to do it so that later on issues do not happen. One of the questions which is most important, because sometimes numbers only catch so much, the most important question you have to ask your stakeholders is, what does success look like? This is a very, very important question. What does success look like to you? Why is this important? So, for example, when you push people towards numbers, sometimes the whole picture cannot be captured. I once worked with the CEO of one of the biggest FMCG companies of India, and they were going on these future ready projects. So we built metrics and everything. And I asked the CEO, you may have seen the person's name in the newspaper last week. I asked the CEO that, what does success look like to you? And the way he described it was very different. He said, you are bringing all this new way of working in my company, new definitions, new tools. When I go on the ground, my lowest person should be able to explain to me what those definitions are. Now, this kind of a perspective, no metric can capture. What does success look like? And hence, if you know this, you can appropriately structure your product. So, this is one of the mistakes people do, is they don't ask this question, because no number can capture what I just described. This has qualitative intelligence you have to figure. So, this is step one, and this is step two. This is before the contract has been signed. Step three, very, very important, is frameworks. Remember, this is one of the things that will determine whether you get $500 a day or whether you get $50,000 a day. We have a full module on it coming up. So I'm not going to explain so much here. We're going to go into it. But what is frameworks? Framework basically tells a client, how will I solve a problem? How will I solve a problem? It is not what is the answer. Now, why is framework so important? Because client problems are unique. Client problem, we live in a VUCA world. Framework basically puts method and structure. Now, the thing is, when we think of frameworks, we often think of whether it's BCG metrics or McKinsey 7S. Now, those don't work in the real world. So, why are frameworks important? So, firstly, all the Harvard frameworks, all the McKinsey frameworks, they don't work in the real world. Why do they not work? Because these are generic frameworks. Clients expect something customized to them. A lot of these frameworks have been made in 20 years ago. The world has moved on. Industries are unique. Client problems are unique. There are specific personality styles you have to look at. So these generic frameworks do not work. The second thing is, there is no book or there is no magazine that gives you these frameworks. You have to build it on your own depending on the complexity of the situation. And once you build it, that is when clients see value, because the objective of a framework is to prove to your client that I know your industry, number one. Second is, I have understood your problem. This is what a framework is doing. I know your industry. I have understood your problem and I have full clarity on how to approach it. If you can convince them how to do it, we'll do it in some time. If you can convince your client about these 3 points. So many people think framework is just about structuring your thoughts. It is not. This is not just structuring, that is amateur level consulting. Framework is to convince a client, I know your industry, I have understood your problem fully, I have clarity. If you can understand, and all of this is also a part of mindset, if you do this step well, it automatically translates to insane billing numbers, whether it's $50,000 a day or whatever it is. Insane billing numbers come into this. This is why this step is so important. Remember, people traditionally think, I will play a Harvard framework. It will not work. That person also has access to the same thing. They're not going to pay you for that. Those frameworks do not work in the real world. So this is step number 3. We have a full module on it. So I just give you a brief introduction and we will move forward. So what is step number 4? Once you have identified the right framework, you need to generate options. You need to generate options means, what are potential ideas that you will consider? Why is this so difficult? The reason this is so difficult is, sometimes on the client side you will have people who are very senior, and you will hear lines like this: the number of years you've lived on the planet is the number of years I have worked in this company. You will hear things like this. Some of you are smiling, but you will hear things like this. Now, the thing is, how do you come up with options for someone like this person? Because whatever you say, they will come back and say, this cannot be done. You will see tremendous resistance. This cannot be done. Whatever you say, this cannot be done. So, the way you generate options has to be done in a very scientific way so that you cannot be challenged. No matter who is on the other side, you cannot be challenged. So, what is a scientific way to generate option? This is how you do it. The first step is you do benchmarking. Again, common sense, but we are writing it down. So, how do you do benchmarking? Benchmark means you're comparing with somebody else. One is you compare it with your market leader. So typically, if you're in Infosys, they compare themselves to Accenture for a lot of metrics. So you compare it with a market leader. The second thing you do is you compare it with a global leader. So for example, if you're doing a program in Dubai, you see what are people in China doing, what are people in South Korea doing. You get some ideas from there. Third, what you do is you look at a adjacent industry, not an identical industry, but a sort of similar industry. So for example, if your client is a FMCG client, You may then look at, let me look at a company that makes clothes. They're not identical, but they're similar. Can I get some ideas from them? So this is idea generation. So the first tactic is benchmarking. Second tactic is in terms of surveys and feedback. Surveys and feedback. So where can you get this surveys and feedback? So one is, of course, customers. There's so many surveys consulting firms do. What is Gen Z saying? What are the future consumers saying? You will have enough surveys. The second you will have is, there are similarly vendor surveys also. Whoever is selling material to you, what are they saying? What is the future? What are their challenges? You will get those kind of surveys also. So customer surveys you can do, vendor surveys you can do. You can also do channel partner surveys. So for example, you can speak to distributors who are channel partner. You can speak to wholesalers. They will also give you a good indicator in terms of where the industry is headed. So three types of surveys you can do to understand what are options. The last way to generate options is to look at experts. Now every industry has experts. Who are experts? People who've say worked for 15, 20 years only in that industry. So one conversation with them, they can straight away generate like 10 ideas because they know that industry so well. So how do you get these experts? We'll talk about later, but this is how you manage and generate options. Now the thing is, whichever program you are trying to do, you will generate at least 20 options. You want to be as exhaustive as possible. At least 20 options you will generate. But the most important thing is, your client cannot execute all 20, because no matter who you are, there is restriction on, even if you are Tesla, even if you're Walmart, even if you're Reliance, at the end of the day, there are only so many activities you can do. There are time constraints, there are people constraints, there are money constraints, the organizational politics. So step 5 is the most important, which is prioritization. So essentially, if you generated 20 plus options, how do you bring this down to three things that you will really put? Now, why is this difficult? This is difficult is because when you have this conversation with a client, they will typically say that, or think that you are lazy. You don't want to work the weekend. That's why you're saying, of the 20 things, we will only pursue 3, we will not pursue 17. But this is a big part of the mindset, because if you remember in the webinar, also I said, your ability to say no is very, very important. So strategy is about agreeing to do 3 and not agreeing to do 17. This is why it is so important. And clients will be hesitant because they will see you as lazy. They will think Sandeep doesn't want to work the weekend. That's why he's doing. Now, how do you do this in a scientific way so that people do not touch it? Here is how you look at it. It's a simple 2 by 2 that you follow. If you recall from the webinar, I touched upon what is 2 by 2. So on the x axis, you will have something called business benefit. So this is low business benefit. This is high business benefit. On the y axis, you will have something which is called ease of implementation. Can you do this easily? So at this, you will have easy, and this will be difficult. So this is how you will look at it. And all the 20 ideas, say, you will keep plotting across the, for each idea, you will evaluate the business benefit, and you will evaluate the ease of implementation, and you'll build a chart like this. Then how do you make sense of this? This is how you make sense of this at the end. So this box is priority number 1. Why? Because this has high business benefit and it is easy for you to do. So anything that comes in this box is priority number 1. This is what your client has to do. This is priority number 1. This box is priority number 2. This is typically called quick wins, and this is extremely essential. What are quick wins? These are easy to do, but they may not give you the business benefit. The easy to do. Now, why is quick wins so important? The reason quick wins are so important is, clients always think that once they have paid you money and the contract has started, you have some magical weapon that next day results will start coming. Nobody understands this concept of it takes 2 3 months before something happens. Today a contract has been signed, tomorrow money will start for me. Now, so clients become very impatient. Some of you are smiling. It is reality of the situation. So what is quick wins? Quick wins is basically you keep deploying easy solutions so that the client thinks something is happening. They see action on the ground. So what are examples of quick wins? It could be as simple as a good dashboard. Maybe you built in a fancy dashboard. It's as simple as that. What is another example? Maybe you brought some terms or fancy terms or definitions which the industry is using. So you may say, for an instance, FMCG, you may say you should be tracking numeric distribution as a metric. This is very, very important. Some fancy term you bring so that people see, oh, this is important. A third thing in terms of quick wins is you may say, let me tell you your review meetings. This is a better format for you to run your review meetings. This is what we have seen elsewhere. So these are simple examples of quick wins. You can start tomorrow and then client will think something is happening. So this is priority number two. This box you typically don't get into, which is low business benefit and difficult to implement. This is sort of 50-50. You consider only if you've exhausted P1 and P2, but ideally this also you do not get into it. So P1 is priority, P2 is just for quick wins. Now the question is, how do you measure business benefit and ease of implementation? So the x-axis is business benefit. How do you measure this? So for each of the 20 plus ideas, you have to calculate the business benefit. This is a number. First of all, this is a number, and you can define it as either a revenue number or you can define a profit number, whatever is the problem you are dealing with. Business benefit can be a revenue benefit or a profit benefit. How do you calculate ease of implementation? Now, ease of implementation is not a number. This is more qualitative. What does qualitative mean? It's basically high, medium, low. Finally, the answer will be high, medium, or low, or a 3-point scale. How do you answer that? You basically ask yourself few questions for every initiative. Do I have the people who can get this idea done? Does my company have the right people to get this idea done? Do I have the right technology to get this idea done? Second question you'll ask. Do I have the right processes to get this idea done? Do I have the right legal clearances to get this idea done? So you will assign high, medium, low for everyone, or yes, no, maybe for everyone. Take an average, and that is your ease of implementation. Okay. So this is step number 5, which is most important in terms of prioritization. So let's summarize what are the 5 steps in client management. So you start with scope, you will go to objective, the third you will go into frameworks, the fourth you will go into options, and the fifth you will go into prioritization. These are the basics in terms of how to do structured client management. Now remember, all these, whichever model you pursue, there are 3 models we spoke about. Whichever model of growth you pursue in your life, all steps are important. You want to be CEO, CXO, you want to set up your consulting business, you want the advisory model, all of these 5 steps are important in terms of that model. So this is the second module I wanted to speak about. We're going to go into an interactive exercise. I want to get a sense of the pulse of the room. How many of you have liked what you've heard till now? So give me a like, give me a heart if you thought this added value, it added perspective. How many of you have liked what you've heard till now? Fantastic. Okay, great. So this is the second part what I wanted to cover today. Now we are going into frameworks. We have a full module on frameworks. Remember, I said frameworks are very, very important. So all questions I will take at the end, please. So frameworks are very, very important. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you and put you in an interactive exercise. You're going to go into breakout rooms. So firstly, what will happen is now you will build your own framework. So there are about 227 or 225 after me and my team. 225 people are in the room right now. You will go into 25 rooms, which means there'll be 8 to 10 people per room. You will build a framework. Why are we doing this exercise? The reason we are doing this exercise is in the real world, You have to influence the client team members before you go to the big person, whether it's the CIO, CTO, CMO. You have to influence those people. And remember, the client team members, they don't work for you. So you have to convince them. So a lot of you, when you go into the room, you may be thinking, my peers are such idiots. Had I done this on my own, I could have done it 5 minutes faster. But in the real world, you have to influence people who do not report to you. That is what we are simulating in this exercise. It's not going to be easy. It's the first time for a lot of you. So it's not going to be easy. So what do you have to do? So you will go into a group activity, but what is the problem? Who is your client? The client of yours is Accenture. The Accenture CHRO has called you, and the Accenture, I'm sure all of you know what Accenture does, IT services company. The head of HR has called you and said, my attrition is 21%, bring it down to 11%. This is the problem. Bring it down to 11%. So now you ask them about scope. Remember, step one, you ask them about scope. So they basically say all regions, all channels, all products, and time horizon is you have to bring it down ASAP, as soon as possible. They want you to bring it down. So they've given you step number one, which is scope. They've given you step number two, which is attrition. Now what do you have to do? You have to build a framework. So what is a framework? Framework is how will you solve this problem. It is not what is the answer. Remember, it is not the answer. It is how will I solve the problem. What is it important? Three questions I asked you. I need to convince, if you are the person doing this, I need to convince you that I know your industry. Remember the objective of the framework. I know your industry. Number two, I understand your problem. This is the objective of the framework. I know your industry. I understand your problem. And three, I have clarity. I need to convince you on these. I know your industry, I understand your problem, and it's not what is the answer, it is how will you solve it. So you will go into groups. How will you build the framework? Use any document. You can do it on Excel, you can do it on PowerPoint, you can do it on any document, Google Docs, whatever software you're familiar with. Every room needs to come back. I'm going to give you about 20 to 25 minutes to do this. Every room needs to come back with a framework. Now, I don't want people to come and say, my room did not listen to me, so I did it separately. No, all your differences have to get thrashed in the room. So every room needs to come back with one framework, whether you use Excel, PowerPoint, whatever is the tool that is important. So let me give you 20 minutes for this exercise. This is how I recommend you do it. So first 10 minutes, please do this individually. Please try doing this individually. First 10 minutes. The next 10 minutes, try and come together as a group and build a framework together. So first, do this individually for 10 minutes, and next do this as a group. Remember, framework is how will I solve this problem. It is not what is the answer. What is the objective of the framework? I know your industry, I understand your problem, and I have clarity. This is what you're convincing. This is why your billing rate will come. Okay, so we're going to move. I'll take all questions at the end. The brief is quite clear. So Ramya, what you should do is, if you can, please paste this screenshot in the chat box. If some of you want to take a photo of this, you can do it for easy reference. But Ramya, if possible, paste this in your screenshot. So how will this work now? So Ramya is going to send you into 25 rooms. Each room will have 8 to 10 people. A prompt will come on your screen. You know how this works. You will click on that prompt. You will go into your Zoom room. After 20 minutes, you will come back. I will pick 2 to 3 teams to present. I'll not give a chance to all 25 just in the interest of time. Also, we've seen after two answers, the answers start getting repetitive. So 2 to 3 teams, which 2 to 3, I'm not going to tell you now. Once you come back, I'm going to randomly pick 2 to 3 teams. Ramya, whenever you're ready, let's send everybody to 25 rooms and we'll bring everyone back in 20 minutes. Okay.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Santosh.
Hi, hi everyone. Myself Vishal. So everyone has joined in our group, right? So let's wait another 1 minute. Uh,
Yeah, I think we have eight participants, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so that
yes.
means
yeah,
they're
like
all.
that.
Yeah. Uh, yes.
So let's do this exercise individually for 10 minutes and then we can
Yes. Yes.
unmute our ears. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's right. Yes. Yes. I agree. That's right. I agree. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. So I also agree to what he's telling. So we can brainstorm and get together and yes. 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 Actually, the 20. Yeah, could be the yes, yes, I agree to it. Yeah, just to add to that is as you rightly point out, yes, yeah, attrition was, yeah, so attrition, and your problem. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And just to, sorry to interrupt, yeah. Mhm. That might be the reason also. Could be the performance.
Anyone ready with the framework?
Am I am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, Kushal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So while we talk about I know your industry, we should talk about uh, the benchmark is high or low, like usually 12 to 18% range.
That's
So
right.
and we also
So
yeah
absolutely. So what I thought of is what is the problem? Why they are facing the attrition rate? First of all, we need to identify that, right? Then do the survey of the employees and
yeah
get the feedback why they are so getting this appraisal low. That means due to performance
yeah
appraisal, attrition rate is
compensation gaps.
going up. They are unhappy because they are getting low grade. So that's the reason the attrition is high. Even the salaries is percentage hike is low. So that could be one of the reason that is facing the attrition. And also
We,
people are unhappy because of the company benefits they are offering. Employees are unhappy, so they should increase the benefits that will make feel happy, and that will be a that so that they are part of the organization. They feel that they are also working for the towards the goal, towards the common goal. So I feel that these are the we need to have the data ready. Right. We
yeah.
need to have data of how many people have, how many employees are in a year, twice a year, they are resigning. I mean, due to this, their unhappiness. And then, second thing, we need to have, I mean, what is the percentage hike they are doing, right? Every year. So
So
we can
Kushal,
suggest according.
No, we
Kushal,
will put all this into the pillars first. First, in I know your industry. In that,
Uh,
we have to jot down uh, at least 2 to 3 points there, and we
yes,
will
one
go
yes.
one
like that.
important thing, one important factor here for I know industries like for the companies of scale of Accenture. So this is like a
Mm.
massive 70,000 or plus employee or 7 lakhs, I guess, plus employees across the globe. So I know your industry. One part would be to probably prioritize and the attrition is 21%. So probably we should first prioritize and identify the most business impacted departments or products where attrition is going to hit. Then, like Kushal said, the next step would be to do a research to identify what is the cause. Kushal explained a few reasons. There could be more. We don't know actually. As a framework, we should identify the mechanisms to identify what is causing people to leave. It could be anything. Once it is identified, we should work with the Accenture team to uh, fix those issues. And probably after a month or so, we should revise whether the implemented fixes or solutions are working out or not.
We'll do one thing. Let's share screen and then write in the slide, no, so that we
So
can
I
present
actually
in
I
I.
actually prepared a
Yeah.
quick slide. Maybe I can share quickly. Just see again. I just gave this idea to AI and it generated the slide quickly. So can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to write the pillars wise. Like in I know your industry, you have to put some points, and in pillar two, you have put I have understood your problem. You will have
Mm.
to put
Okay.
the points. So that's where right. He's talking about we need to put the framework in 3 pillars. I know your industry. I have understood your problem. I have a clarity. We need to
Okay.
answer in
Me
those
too.
pillars. I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
So if
So
that is the case, I've just pulled out few points so we can put in
oh,
a
we have only 1 minute left.
pillar wise.
Okay.
1 minute.
So
So
probably
let's just uh, we can explain accordingly. So as we discussed about, so our team is
25.
different.
Recording in progress.
Okay, great. I think all of us have come back. Fantastic. Let's get started. I don't see so many happy faces, to be honest. So it's a tricky exercise. It's not easy. First time we are doing it, it's not easy. It'll get easier over the next 2 days. But again, why did we do this exercise? So I'm just putting you at the deep end of the pool straight away. Of course, you would have got stuck. But the objective is when I tell you how to approach it, then you will straight away see why a certain principle was said because you may have got stuck at the exact right point. So that's why you put at the deep end of the pool. Again, why is this there? Because in the real world, you'll work with client stakeholders who do not report to you. And this is the only way you have to convince them. Frameworks are extremely important, and that's why this discussion has been done. How will we run it? We'll hear from two groups. I'm going to call out two group names, and Ramya is going to paste the names in the chat box. Each team will get about 90 seconds to present their answers. So after 60 seconds, I will say 30 seconds left. At 90 seconds, I will close it. And then I will ask one question to each group. And then we'll move forward in terms of how to approach it. So let's start with room number 3, please. Ramya, whenever you're ready, paste the names in the chat box. Room number 3, please. Okay, the names are in the chat box for room number 3. Whoever wants to present from this room can unmute themselves and share their screen. There is this awkward silence, which reminds me of my engineering days, because the first one was always the difficult
Okay.
one. So whoever is,
Yeah.
you are the brave person, sir. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah. So
tell us.
thank you for the previous. I think we really learned a lot, but then not putting into practice. Uh,
Thank you.
Now, as we understood
Yeah.
the framework, we understood the broad guidelines, and we're not going into the nitty and details of exactly the reasons, but broadly, what would be the line of action? So to begin with, for the iteration, we will first like to go deeper and go department-wise and work level-wise attrition rates. One. Two, then we try to identify the key drivers of attrition and understand and list all the sources available, and also use methods of survey, etc., interviews, and so on, so as to identify the reasons. Third, we do competitive benchmarking with the best practices, the monitoring methods, and also the possible solutions. Now,
Okay.
based on that, we go ahead and then do a pilot project. We take one department and work on it, and after having done that, we try to analyze its success and make a presentation to the management on that, and maybe get their inputs and then finalize. And then going ahead, we based on the action plan, we implement with all the other departments, and and of course we have a dashboard to share with the management on ongoing basis to see how it's going, and
Okay.
then the action plan to be implemented in all the departments, and
30
finally
seconds
end of the
left.
period,
Yeah.
end of the period we review it. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you. How many of you liked what you just heard? Let's have a round of thumbs up or let's have a round of likes. Okay. Fantastic. So I'm going to ask because you or anyone in the room can answer this question. So I'm going to ask a question. This is exactly how the CHRO will talk. So
Yeah.
while Vikas or someone in the room can answer, but everyone should think how would you answer if this question was posed to you. So because I understand your framework, you're basically saying I look at data, root cause, options, prioritization, tracking, etc. My question to you is where is the nuance of the IT industry coming in here? Because whichever sector, if I pick, if this was a oil and gas attrition problem, if this was
Mhm.
a manufacturing company attrition problem, if this was any sector attrition problem, FMCG attrition problem, you could have used the same 5 steps largely, what you just said. So how are you proving to me that you know my industry? Vikas or
Here
anyone
we
in
are.
the group, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Here, I think that thing we have taken care by benchmarking with the closest competitors or with those companies which are in the same league. So that is where we have taken that. function
We
into account. Yeah.
we
Okay,
took
only
a
someone from the room, please. Only
Yeah.
someone.
yeah we took a benchmarking with Infosys, Capgemini, and TCS, where the attrition is at say 13 to 14%,
Okay.
whereas this company having an attrition of 21%. So that
Okay.
is what we have the benchmarking we have done with the your
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll just move forward in the interest of time. Thank you. We'll just move
Thank
forward in
you.
the interest of time. So remember the question what I asked. How are you proving to me that you know my industry? Will in the debrief, this is the first question we will address. Thank you to the room. We'll take one more room. Can we hear from room number 18, please? Ramya, when you're ready. Let's have the names of room number 18 in the chat box. The names are there. Whoever from the room wants to go ahead and share their screen or present, please go ahead. Room number 18.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kiran, are you going?
So,
Please go ahead. Yes.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So, okay. So, we also heard from Vikas what he had said. So, we are also on the similar lines. Of course, there would be a survey, and we would like to categorize from where the attrition is happening at the max so that, we can save maximum time. But at the same time, when we say about industries, when it's an IT industry. So being an IT industry and doing a lot of uh, payroll works and outsource works, there are long hours. There is a very uh, frequent burnout of employees, the work-life balance, and long working hours. So that is one aspect we have to look into it. And as it is a very big organization, it's more or less parallel. So the career path or the career path mapping of employees from mid to senior levels or those people, that also we need to see because that could also be one of the main reasons for attritions. Because in a big, large organizations,
30
the pay
seconds
would be
left.
there.
30 seconds left.
Yeah.
Please go on. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the thing that we would like to look at it. And one more aspect during the scope, we would like to draw attention to the CHRO that as soon as possible should be defined because that would again come into picture when we start the work. They will start jumping to conclusions. Oh, this is as soon as possible. So these are the areas where we
Okay.
would like to work, adding on to Vikas's points.
Okay, I'm going to ask, thank you, Kiran, and the room for that. I'm going to ask them a question while Kiran or someone in the room can answer. But everybody should think that if you were asked this question, how would you answer? So the question is as follows. So, Kiran, there are two or three reasons you said why people quit. One was long work hours, one was career path, and there was one more reason you said. My question to you is, how do I know you have looked at all reasons why people quit? Maybe there are 108 more reasons why people are quitting. How do I know you know all the 108 reasons why people are quitting? Please go ahead. You or anyone from the room. Yes, please.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So first is the data. Second, we would definitely go with the survey. While defining the problem, and when we are going to ask, when like first we have to clarify the problem, right? So when we are having a talk with CHRO, we will definitely define this. Like we are going to get the data, and we are also going to check that is it a organization wide or limited to the business unit that they wanted to focus. That will define our area of focus and what they wanted to retain: high performers, critical skills, freshers. So that will also come in a scope when we are saying that to your question, Sandeep.
Okay, let's move forward just in the interest of time. Thank you to the room. Remember the two questions I asked to both the groups. To the first group, I asked, how do you convince me that you know my sector? Remember, that was the first part of the framework. I know your industry. Second group I asked, and she answered really well. Rolly answered really well. The second group I asked in terms of how do I know you're looking at all possible reasons? Remember, these are the two questions I asked. Okay. So, how do you approach frameworks? Let me share my screen again. And my screen is just getting presented. So let's look at how to build frameworks. Remember, what is the objective of the framework? There are three objectives to the framework. I understand your industry The second is I understand your problem. And the third thing is I have clarity. These are the three reasons why you're trying to do the framework. Now, typically people think framework is for structuring. It is not. It has to answer these three questions. That's why you will get those billing rates. So as a result, any framework actually has two parts. So the first part is what is called a industry specific framework, and the second part it was what is called a process framework. So what is an industry specific framework? There are two parts to every framework. What is an industry specific framework? An industry specific framework essentially answers this question: why does this problem happen in my industry? So when the CHRO is asking, do you know my industry? Why does this problem happen in my industry? This is the industry specific framework. This is where you are proving to me I know your industry in depth. This is the first part of the framework. How do you answer this question? Now, the second question, you also remember I asked them, how do I know there are 108 more reasons you don't know? That's the second question I asked. So, the first thing you do is you start with research. You start with research papers. Where do you get research papers? Typically business schools do research papers. Typically newspapers have some research articles. Typically you have Forbes or a Fortune or a business magazine, so they will do some research. What will they do research? In this case it will be, why do people quit the IT services sector? You're starting with research. What is the benefit of this? You will, because if you go through a couple of research papers, there is no major bucket you will miss. You will be roughly sure that all major reasons you have looked at. So that is step number one. Step number two is, but remember the research is generic. So you cannot just use it like that. So here, there you add your perspective. So maybe you've done this work a lot. You've done this for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you add your perspective on this research. And third, you add what is client context. Client context, what type of stakeholder you're looking at, what is the specific thing they have said. Like they said, what does ASAP mean? Is it tomorrow? Is it 3 months? All that understanding of client context you build. So this is how you build a industry specific. This is the first objective. I understand your industry, and to a certain extent I understand your problem. This is what you're proving. Now, the second part of the framework is what is called the process framework, which is actually what both the groups had. What is a process framework? So, the first part of the framework is client will say, okay, you know my industry, you know enough in terms of why this happens in mine. Second part of the framework is, tell me what you will do step one, step two, step three. That is what both the rooms essentially answered. So, in simple English, this is typically a 4 5 steps, and you can call it anything you want. So you do diagnostic, you collect the data across sources, you do some analysis, then you find out the root cause in terms of what is happening underneath. Third is you look at options, or you generate solutions. I mean, you can call this anything in your language. Fourth is you look at some form of prioritization to say what should you pursue. And fifth is some form of tracking or governance. So whenever you're building any form of process framework, these are some of the common steps. You can of course call it anything you want. So these are the 5 steps. Both the rooms essentially were going this route. So you have two framework. You have an industry specific framework, and you have a process framework. Now the third part of this is you need to show clarity. How do you show that I have clarity? The way you show clarity is, in simple English, is when you draw these on a framework, it on a slide, it has to be easy to understand. Now, one of the things what people do is, I used to have a consulting partner who used to say, fill up the slide, make it as busy as possible, so they will think that we've thought through a lot. It doesn't work that way. You need to keep as simple as possible so that the people understand, and then you have clarity. So the way to do this visually is to look at 3 to 7 objects on a slide. So object means what? It can be a square, it can be a triangle, it can be a circle, however you want to show it. 3 to 7 objects. This is clarity. Now, less than 3, sometimes people may think is too basic. More than 7, people may think is too complicated. Always remember, most likely they're probably reading this on their phone. Your stakeholders probably reading this on the phone. Probably you are not there in the room. The slide has to talk on it. This is how you show clarity. So remember, two parts of the framework, the industry specific framework, and you look at the process framework. This is how you tell a client, I know your industry, I know your problem, and I have clarity. So these are the guiding principles. Let's look at how I would have solved it. Okay. Now, the way I would have solved it, and remember, the answer does not matter, the process matters more. So you can follow the same principles and come at a totally different answer, and it is perfectly all right. So the first thing, remember what did I say? The first is a industry specific framework. Why do people generally leave the IT services sector? So what is step number one in that? Look at research. So I picked up a IIM Ahmedabad paper in terms of why do people leave IT services? What is the benefit of this step? At least there is no major bucket I have missed out on. I know generally because the research would have covered all the buckets. Then I'm adding my perspective, and then I am adding in terms of client context, and I'm saying people typically leave because of four reasons. This is career progression, quality of work, compensation, or work culture. People generally leave your sector because of four reasons. Now, if I look at compensation, which is box number 3, this is a little too generic. So I've actually broken it down into 3 more bullets. So it can be compensation means your actual money, the recognition, and policy. So we've broken it down so that you can go a little granular. Similarly, with career progression also is a little generic. So we've actually broken it down to role, location, and flexibility. So there are, if you see, why do people leave the IT services sector? There are 4 buckets. Each bucket has 3 points. So there are 12 points in terms of why people generally leave the IT services sector. Now the CHRO says, fine, you understand my industry very well. You understand the nuance of my industry very well. You are also understanding my problem. Now tell me, what will you do with this? So tell me step 1, step 2, step 3. What will you do with this? This you've proved to me. You understand my sector very well. That's what you've proved to me. Now we go into something, the second part of the framework, which is called the process framework. Here, essentially, I'm going to say, what am I going to do? Step 1, step 2, and step 3. So what are we doing here? So if you look at the left hand side, all the points from the previous slide have come. The 4 buckets and the 12 points have come from the left hand side. We are essentially going to do an exercise in benchmarking. This is, whenever you do benchmarking, this is a very common chart. This is called a sloped line chart. What does this chart say? This is a concept I'm showing the CHRO, that I will go do this team by team. So here I'm picking the telecom team. I'm going to benchmark it with 2 elements. One is I'm going to do an internal benchmark, which is with you only. And then I'm going to do an external benchmark with whoever is the best in the industry. So across these 12 parameters, I'll pick a team. I will benchmark it with internally, which is Accenture, and then I'm going to benchmark it with externally, and I'll see where the difference is. So let's go one by one. So if we look at compensation and benefits, where does this data come from? HR typically does this survey. It's done in percentiles. HR will have this information. So I will look at the telecom team here, and I'm going to benchmark with, so the red line is the telecom team, green line is the external benchmark. What you're seeing is this difference is not much. So this probably means compensation is not the main reason why people are quitting, because the red line and the green line is not very different. Let's look at the second bucket, which is work culture. Now, how do I get this data? So this I will collect from your 360-degree surveys, your engagement surveys. I look at Glassdoor data, all of it. I'll build an index of 1 to 5. Here, if you see, the difference between the red line and the green line starts becoming important. That means there is something in the work culture which is not working. This is the second way. Let's look at the third one, which is quality of work. Again, from 360-degree surveys, Glassdoor, I'll combine all of this, build an axis. And here also I see the difference between the red and the green line is something substantial. Similarly, even with the fourth bucket, again, I'll get this data. Here also, the difference is substantial. So the compensation is not the issue. It looks like work culture, quality of work, career progression is an issue. So I will dive deeper into these 3 buckets, and then I will do a form of prioritization. I will do a form of prioritization, which you just saw. So the x-axis is should we do it in terms of impact, and y-axis is can we do it? Is it easy for us to do? All the ideas I'm going to project here, and on the top right is priority one, which are the ideas we have to pursue, and this is what we have to do now. Remember, this is a concept note you're showing a CHRO. This is not the answer. This is how will you do it. This is not the answer. You're showing a concept note in terms of how you will approach it. So what are the principles again? Why does this problem exist, which is the industry specific framework? Start with research, add your perspective, add client context. Second is what will you do exactly, which is the process framework. How do you prove you have clarity? Keep it to 3 to 5 boxes, easy to understand so that people get it. This is how you build a framework. Now, there are some standard questions which are asked, and I'm going to answer them straight away. So, one of the questions people ask is, how do we learn this muscle? How do we learn this muscle of framework? So the thing is, there are no books and there are no magazines. So there is nothing online you can do to get this framework. Also, some people ask me, can I use AI to do this? No, it does a terrible job. AI does a terrible job at this. So you cannot use AI to do. So how do you build this muscle? So first of all, how do you know your framework is right in the first place? The way you know your framework is right is follow the principles I just said. So, whenever you build a framework, if you have followed the principles, what I've just written down, there is a high chance your framework is right. That is number one. But the thing what happens is because we have built it, we get biased. Sometimes we may not be able to see the flaw that is there because we have built it, we get biased. So, one of the things you need to do is there's a term from boxing which is called a sparring partner. So, catch a friend, someone you trust, and tell them hammer this framework, poke as many holes as you can with a friend. So it's like a friend or a sparring partner, and have a 30-minute conversation where they try and hammer as many holes as they can. If you survive that and if you followed the principles, generally your framework is right. This is how you know your framework is right. Now, the thing is, how can you practice this? So, one of the ways you can practice this is in your life. Ask yourself what are 5 key projects that you have done. 5 big projects, 5 key projects that you've now in hindsight, you have full view of a full idea of what you had done. For those 5 projects, build a framework. Now you have full perspective in terms of what went right, what went wrong. So build a framework for that. That's the easiest way to start. The second way, once you've done the 5, you've built some sort of muscle. The easiest way to practice this every day is newspapers. So, whatever business newspaper you read, Khaleej Times, Economic Times, Mint, Straits Times, whatever business newspaper you read, in the editorial section, they typically have one detailed story on an industry. Every day, they do one detailed business story. Read it and try and convert that into a framework. That is the easiest way to practice this. So, do for 5 key projects of your life first. Then, on an ongoing basis, if you want to do it, pick up the newspaper and do it. That's the best way to learn this muscle of framework. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Let me give you, there is some homework for tomorrow, so I'm going to talk about that. Let me give you the big picture of where we are. So day one was foundational. Sorry, my handwriting is a mess. Day one was foundational. There are 3 things we covered. So one, we looked at where is the overall opportunity. Second thing we looked at is how do you do structured client management. Third, we looked at how do you do frameworks. This is what we covered. Tomorrow, the entire focus is going to be on application. So we're going to start with one problem you're going to solve end to end. I will talk about in a few minutes. Second, you will look at how to analyze data and connect the dots. Third, you will look at some jargon. We will do something called the elevator pitch tomorrow. This is the agenda for tomorrow. Day three is the most important. The theme is amplification. So we're going to look at AI. How can we use AI in our lives? Second thing, we're going to look at how to get set up the business, how to get clients, what is the price you should charge, why should someone come to you, and finally, independent questions on your career is what we will do on day three. So before I finish for today, I want to give you some homework for tomorrow. So the homework for tomorrow is as follows. So here are 3 potential clients. So, for example, one is Haldiram's. I'm sure you all know what Haldiram's does. Second is PepsiCo, and the third is Mars Wrigley. Mars Wrigley makes Snickers, Twix, etc. So here are three potential clients. You have to pick one, and what you will do tomorrow is you will build the go to market strategy for these companies. Remember, why are we picking go to market? It is the second most important piece of consulting work. That's why we are picking it. You get a real life perspective. So tomorrow you're going to build that. So what is the problem statement? So we'll start with objective. What is the objective? So the CEO of this company, all these three companies are saying, I am number one in every category I operate. I am number one in every category I operate. How do I stay number one in 2030? There's nothing wrong in my business. I'm number one in every category I operate. How do I stay number one in 2030? This is the objective. Then you ask them for the scope. So the scope is basically all products, they're open to new products, all regions, they're open to all regions, they're open to all channels, new channels, digital channels, etc. And the time horizon is 2030, means about 3 to 4 years. This is the time horizon they have given you. So they've given you step one, they've given you step two. What do you have to do? Now, as homework, please read up on these companies. Pick up one, just go on their website, get familiar with what they do, what are the products they make, get familiar with the products. When you come tomorrow, this is what you will do in the exercise. So you will build the framework, you will generate options, and you will prioritize together. As you will see, the masterclass is getting a little tougher. I just made you do one step today, which was frameworks. Tomorrow, when you come in, you will do frameworks, options, and prioritization. All three together, you will do. So, this is your homework for today. Don't spend more than 45 minutes to 1 hour. Just read up on the company, see the products, get familiar with some of the news stories. That is all you need to do. Do not solve this before the session. When you come in the session, you will go into breakout rooms and you will solve this. So this is the homework for tomorrow. Ramya, if you can just paste this in the chat box. In terms of the notes, this will come to you before tomorrow's session. So this handwritten note and the slide, you all have to join the WhatsApp community. That's where all of this will be shared. So my notes and everything will be shared. So in terms of the agenda for today, so let me get a sense of, we're finishing day one. How many of you liked what you heard today terms of the session? Did you think it added value? Let's have a thumbs up. Let's have a heart in terms of if you like today's session. Fantastic. Lovely to see that. It only gets better. Day two and day three actually get better in terms of that. So with this, we come to the end of this session. There's nothing else I have to add in terms of content. So now we will only move to Q&A. So all those who have to leave can actually log off. We'll get the notes. It's a live session, so no recordings are provided. You'll get these notes. My suggestion to everybody is stay on the call. You will learn a lot in the Q&A. That's what my suggestion is. I'll answer questions for about 30 to 45 seconds. What I also do is important questions. I will transcribe the notes here for important questions so that you have the notes handy. How will Q&A run? So all those who have questions, please raise your hand. Number one, if you are not on video, I'm not going to answer it like I've said. Keep the questions short. One of the things we focus on is prioritization. So just 1 to 2 questions. I want you to prioritize. So 1 to 2 questions. That is also an element of mindset. Remember all questions on your career, how to get clients, what is your background, what should be your niche, all of this we will answer on day three. How much you can charge, your pricing, your client funnel, first 5 clients, all of this we will do on day three. So hold on to those questions for day three. Everything else I will answer today. So 1 to 2 short questions, prioritize, and we will go ahead. Anirban, you're first on my screen. Please unmute and ask. Ramya, let's change the setting if possible. Anirban, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So my question is, the three broad areas of consulting, so digital transformation, GTM, and change management. Now, while I have done all the three, but a quick question is, if somebody chooses or if I choose digital transformation, should I not necessarily also have change management in the mix?
Very good question. So, very good question. So, Anirban, the way you look at this is so change management is also execution. So, this is like a Venn diagram. This is like a Venn diagram. So, digital is one, and change management is another one. There is a degree of overlap, but maybe it is not subset to each other. So there is a strong overlap, but it is not necessarily that one is a subset to each other. Sometimes you can just do a digital roadmap without change management, for example, or you can do change management when there is no digital at play at all. So there is a overlap, but it is not subset of each other.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Narayani, please go ahead, unmute and ask.
Yeah, thank you. So this model that you told us today, if for somebody in an advisory role, most often it's not the entire problem statement that we deal with, but mostly we fit into one of the solutions which they've already decided. So does this entire framework that you said really need to be worked every time? Sometimes I don't see a need for that from the client request when we are in the advisory part. So can you
Are you
help?
referring to model 3?
Yeah, Model 3. Yes.
No,
Yes.
actually, what happens is in there, you definitely need to do this because a full clarity needs to be understood. One of the things you will see is if you pin very senior people and say, what is the metric you're targeting, they will struggle to answer such question. They will generally give you very high level view. We need to be digitally savvy. We need to do this. But if you ask them specifically, tell me a number that will change, they will struggle. So in advisory roles, because you only have so much time, that's when the clarity matters a lot more. So in advisory, step 1 and 2 become even more important. Or else at the end of, because you're only giving 1 day a week probably, so you have to make it as productive as possible, or else you will keep going all around the place. That's the risk that happens.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So may not be all the steps, but definitely step 1 and 2. That's what you're saying.
My personal advice is follow all the steps. I have generally seen all 5 steps are essential. All 5 steps are essential. 1, 2, definitely. Framework is for billing. Options and prioritization are also essential. I have generally seen you need to follow all 5. Some
Okay.
clients may be more mature that they may not need so much depth in each step, but all 5 you have to tick mark at some.
Okay. So do you do this even when you're a keynote speaker? Just curiosity.
I think that's going overboard. That's going a little overboard, not when a keynote speaker. But definitely when you're in this thing, whenever you're doing training, if you're
Training.
looking, when you're doing this advisory, these two you definitely need to. Keynote
Okay.
is a little overboard.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ajit, if you're going next, request everybody else to be on mute other than the person who's asking the question. Ajit, yes, please go ahead.
Hi, thanks. And couple of questions actually. First is that will you be sharing some of your frameworks, one or two, for
We'll do more.
us, with a
We'll do more.
problem?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Tomorrow I will show you the framework I will use. We'll keep doing. As I keep going through problems, I'll keep sharing some frameworks. Yeah.
sure. And then other question, I'm very curious. Your collaboration with Ram Charan. How did you achieve that, or maybe some
He
examples
reached
of?
out to me.
Oh,
His
wow.
team reached out to me.
All
It's
right.
a it's
Wow.
an element of the personal brand. We'll talk about how to do
Okay.
that.
Sure. Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Sandeep. Very interesting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sandeep, please go ahead.
Thanks, Sandeep, for giving me this opportunity. My question is, I have a multiple line of business. So do my one framework fit for all, or how, or it will be a separate for each? For example, I'm into the leadership training as well as I'm a Japanese professional. So how means it will be a one framework for all, or it will be a as per the line of business, it should be a
I
two.
think it'll be different. I think it'll be different because the problem statement may be a little different. If you're a leadership trainer, maybe it is more a business kind of metric. They need to handle conflict better, they need to do planning better, they need to take better decisions. If you're looking more at a Japanese school of thought, it may be a little bit of a mindset exercise, etc.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if the metric is different, the framework should be different. They may be overlaps, but ideally approach it separately.
Okay, understood. Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Kamayani ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Sandeep. Good evening, first of
Good
all.
evening. Please go
It
ahead.
was insightful session we had.
Thank you.
I have some technical glitches. Having said that, just wanted to know one thing. Like, as you have built up the brand, but if at all we are to start up a new thing, as in I am a working professional. I'm 23 years of banking experience. I'm a professional right now. So I'm thinking is like my first preference would be like to up the ladder. So like that is one. And if even if I'm going for individual consulting, uh, or independent director, like how to have the target customers,
We'll
what
do this on
should
day
be my
three.
TG.
We'll do this on day three. Day three, I'll answer this question.
Okay,
Okay.
and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sundar, please go ahead. You're next on my screen.
Hey, thanks for this opportunity and really enjoyed the session today.
Thank you.
So I'm currently focusing on this, the first model of consulting, like moving to the CEOs and CXO role. In today's session, right? So I'm just trying to put it to the work that I'm doing. So I also talk to my leaders, and as well I also have to, manage my team and give them directions on what to do. So is this going to be like a twofold thing? Like when I build frameworks on the problems, is it going to help me to structure the way how I get execution done, as well as it's going to help me to talk to the CEOs and CXOs in a
100%.
smart way,
100% to both of them. To both the
right?
points, 100%. Your CEO will understand this. When you do the framework, the CEO will be convinced that Sundar understands the problem. That is what conviction will come in. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Lokesh, you're next on my screen.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep, for the session. So I understand the framework building methodology. It's quite good. So basically, root cause, options, prioritization, and then finally analysis. And then we show a step where we verify and say, yeah, we have achieved it. Now, I have a question. How do I convince the client that I know their industry? Sometimes I may not even have an idea of their industry. So, do I have to go and gain that idea first? And how do we do that?
So, so for example, you're speaking to a real estate client, you have no idea about real estate. Now you want to show them I understand the basics. So, one is like I said, do some research papers, will give you some idea. But here is where AI comes in very handy to bring you up to speed on understanding an industry. So, day three, I will show you as a use case how do you pick a new sector and master it very, very quickly, at least so that you can have a quick conversation. So this I'll show you on day three.
Good, good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Dharmesh, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Sandeep. Thank you for this. Just one question related to framework. So I do want to, learn how to uh, prioritize. I mean, sorry, the practicing framework in various different situations, so that when we go in front of client, we'll do it well. And for that purpose, I think, how's your what's your take on bulletproof problem solving framework, which is, of course, by a McKinsey um ex McKinsey expert, but it's very much aligned to what you mentioned and also relevant to practical problem solving per se. So,
My personal, and this may be personal bias, my bias against McKinsey frameworks is they don't work in the real world. I'm sure they have thought through it. They generally don't work in the real world. What you can do is treat it as step number one, because they must have looked at a lot of expertise. They are smart people. On that, use it as a base. On that, add your perspective and the client context, and then build it. Do not use it as is, then it becomes a bit of a problem. Also, sometimes what happens, Dharmesh, is if the client sees you using a McKinsey framework, which is like cookie
yeah,
cutter, they'll be like, why am I paying you so much money? I could.
yeah.
So, so
And
use it as
yeah,
a
I mean,
foundational data point. If you want as a sort of starting data point, you can use it.
got it. Got it. Yeah. I mean, it's a put a bit of a turn off if we use Porter's framework,
Yeah, yeah,
5C
yeah.
and
You can't.
4P. Those are very typical frameworky and turned down upon. But
They're very
I think,
amateurish. Clients don't like such stuff. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay, great. Amit, please go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Sandeep. Couple of questions. One is about the models of consulting. You refer to three models. I was hoping to understand your insights on whether a person should pursue both model two and three, which is consulting and advisory, or with various intensity
We'll do
levels, and
this
what
on
are
day
common
three.
challenges,
We'll do this
if
on day three. We'll spend a lot of time on this on day three. Which model?
okay.
How do you choose? What stage of life? We'll do this on day three.
Okay, great. Second question is about AI from a framework perspective. You mentioned that it is not suitable to rely on AI because it doesn't provide accurate insights or inputs. Can we potentially, over a period of time, train our own, AI versions that can help us manage multiple projects at the same time? Because everything done manually takes a lot of time. If we can use AI,
I'll
does that make sense?
I'll tell you where AI is good. I mean, we are talking about basically saving time, what you're just touching on, and where is AI bad in simple English, and then I'll answer the question. So, if you want to do any form of research, you want a data point, you don't want to Google it, AI is very, very good. It will get you to that data point very quickly. You don't have to spend time on Googling. You want to learn about a new sector in 10 minutes. I'll show this on day three. AI is very, very good. You want to make good slides, not good, but relatively decent slides, AI does a good job. These three AI does very well. Where does it struggle? It struggles at all this human interaction, understanding the softer points. So things like client context, things like personality types, what is said, what is not said, elements of judgment, all of this, elements of judgment, understanding the emotion at play, it tends to struggle. So generally, when it comes to framework, these elements also matter a lot. Some of the unsaid elements, how desperate the person is. Hence, AI generally doesn't do a good job on the right hand side, but AI generally does a good job on the left hand side. So if you're looking to save time, focus on the left hand side, and right hand side, you should do it. It doesn't take very long. Once you've done 4 5 frameworks on the right hand side, just takes a couple of hours. It's not that time consuming also.
Thanks, Adi.
Okay, great. Shiv Shankar, please go ahead. Yes.
Hey, hi, good evening, Sandeep, and
Yes.
good evening, everybody. I have two questions, Sandeep. First part of my question is maybe I've started counting the trees now in the forest, but apologies for that. Question is, I'm from an IT, I do mainframe services consulting for most global clients. Uh, and the nature of work involves identifying the problem, getting the solution to be implemented and proving that the solution actually works, right? So it is not exactly consulting in my opinion. I could be wrong, and it's not exactly advisory as well. So but it covers both parts of it. In terms of approach, what should be the right approach out here? Is it pure consulting that I step in, analyze the data, give a recommendation, and get out and say, once you implemented it through your vendor, come back and let's talk results? Or should we look at it end to end, right? So what's the
Very
general
good question. Let me spend a couple of minutes. Generally, there are three broad deal structures. Let me explain that and I'll answer this question along the way. So, in very simple English, there are three broad deal structures. First one is where you generally do a roadmap, say 3 months. So basically, you come in, solve the problem, build a roadmap, and you go away. What you're typically just referring to. Model number two is you do a roadmap for 3 months and then you do some form of pilot. You take a few initiatives and you launch it on the ground. This can be anyway, say 4 to 6 months, depends on the kind of project. Third model is where you do roadmap 3 months plus a pilot, say around 4 months, and you do a full scale implementation, full scale execution. And sometimes this depends, but it can take between 12 months to 18 months, depending on the scale of the project. Here are three deal structures which you typically have. Whether you're going model one, two, three, these are the deal structures. What are the pros and cons of each? Very important to understand the pros and cons of each. When you are starting off, when you are starting off in model 2 or model 3, please focus on only when you are looking at model 2 and model 3, please focus on only deal structure 1 and 2. Please understand why. Because deal structure number 3 is full scale execution. What will happen is you will become an employee of the client. And honestly, in execution, million things go wrong. No matter how good you are, something or the other always goes wrong. So the last thing you want to do in the first 2 3 years when you're starting off is get your entire bandwidth choked because of this client. So one thing is always avoid deal number three unless you are working in an established Fortune 500 company where you have the resources, where you have the time. As an independent consultant, model 2 or model 3, do not go for deal number 3. You will burn your hands. So if you're going model 2 and model 3, deal 1 is recommended, which is ideal. Deal 2 is recommended. Now the thing is, clients are also smart. They will tell you straight away, I want you to be with me through the journey. Do not just give me advice and run away. Clients are not stupid.
Yes.
Also. Clients are also smart. What do you do in this case? Because you also want to get into that account. Then you have to tell them, yes, I will be there end to end with you, but do not price the whole project. Price first the roadmap. Then maybe sometimes after the roadmap, some clients say, we will only do this on our own. So then you are sort of taken care of. Then once you finish the roadmap, price the pilot. Once you've done the pilot, maybe some clients will say, don't worry, we will only manage on your own. So delay the tough conversation as much as possible. If you come to execution, you can tell the client, you have a system, you can manage this on your own. You really don't need me. We have equipped you well enough. So don't say no straight away. Price for first, do roadmap. Problem will maybe get solved on its own. Do pilot. Pilot you can still manage. If they really force you to do execution, that's when you politely say no. Do not say no straight away. That's how you look at this whole picture. So, Shiv Shankar, to answer your question, if you're a part of a Fortune 500 company, you can do deal three. But if you're going for model two and three, please only
Yeah,
pursue
got it.
four. It's just practical way to approach the problem.
Yeah, sure. Can I just ask one more question for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Please go. Please go.
Okay. I'm part of a multinational group, right? I mean, everybody can look me up on LinkedIn. That's not the point. But we do have, I won't say restrictions, I won't even say constraints, but we are bound by what we post on LinkedIn and how we create our own profiles, right? So
Yeah.
that diktat comes in from the corporate CHQ. So, what is your guidance for guys like me who have the hands and feet bound in terms of the social media for the
We'll do
advertising
this on
part?
day three. We'll do this
Thank
on
you,
day
sir.
three. I'll tell you exactly how to do it, how to work out a transition so that you can outsmart the HR. What is acceptable, what is not acceptable. We'll do this on day three.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Baswaraj, please unmute and ask.
Uh, Hi, Sandeep sir.
Please go ahead.
My question is all these consulting concepts are is it limited only to the metro cities or like will you uh, like equip us with implementing this in tier 3 cities and tier 2 cities? Will that also be
Yes.
helpful for us?
So, sir, these concepts, it doesn't matter which geography you are in. So even if you have a uh, plant which is in Bharuch, which is 2 hours from Baroda, same process will apply. If you are in any corner of any country, same principles will apply. You may not use the same terminologies; they may be a little complex, but principle wise, it will be the same. It doesn't matter which city you are coming from, which any part of the world, same business principle will apply. Okay. Okay, great. I'm moving forward. Okay, great. Thank you. Sam, you're next on my screen, please.
Hi, Sandeep. Thank you. Very insightful session.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. So I have recognized, the opportunity mainly on the change execution side, change management execution side. But the key question, I'm not sure. Maybe it could be the day three session of yours, but the core issue could be that it could be a shark territory where there's a lot of players who have a lot of experience in the market. How do you break through with the USP, even though you may have the USP, but still in the initial breakthrough could be a challenge? How do we get into breaking through with the senior folks into the firm? uh, the second question, do I ask second question
Yeah,
now
yeah.
itself, or?
Yeah, good. Oh, let me answer that. Let me answer that so that it's easier. So
Yeah.
one is how to build a sales funnel. We'll talk on day three. But if you're asking a larger philosophical question, this is the answer. These are the things that will differentiate you. what I've just written. This is a more long-term answer. The short-term answer, how to build it, we will do on day 3.
Okay. Okay, thanks. The second question is, leveraging the disruptive power of AI to build products in this space. Looking at long term with the kind of bubble that is there in the AI space currently, there is a possibility of foreseeing that bubble may burst and large players out of the end, all the players that we have, maybe one or two players may sustain, and then the AI pricing and all those things will change. Today we do have an advantage in leveraging AI. uh, is that something that we can think through much in advance to leverage it in a way that it also builds up into the future side?
You can. And if any of you are looking into getting into this AI consulting process, or yeah, if any of you are looking into this, always remember how when you're pricing any deal on AI, it's not so much the tool that will determine the kind of pricing. So there are elements in terms of how do you do governance, how do you set up the processes, how do you drive sustainability of outcome. These are things that clients actually pay for. So clients, or when I say processes, when you do specific workshops with client team members, this is what they pay for. It is ironical that in an AI project, it's actually the human interaction that clients pay money for. They don't pay you money so much for the AI tool per se. It is the interactions, it is the governance, it is sustainability, it is compliance. All the human checks is what they pay money for. So, to Sam, to answer your question, even if say tomorrow, whatever happens, the ROI becomes so high that clients AI is not worth it, this will still go. Some other tool will come into the picture, but these 3 4 things will still remain. You can keep pricing it. It's just that the input tool will keep changing.
That's pretty ironical that you said human in the loop
Exactly.
is the important part.
Exactly. It is ironical, but that is what clients are actually paying money for.
Okay, thanks Sandeep.
Okay, great. uh, Kusumanjali, please go ahead.
So thank you for very much for the insightful session. I have three questions. First being, you listed down the functions which were there, which included HR, technology. I did not find finance there. So is it that deliberately we did not include, or like I
No,
know
no,
you
no, no.
included GCC, but
Yeah.
just wanted to understand the your perspective on the finance side of it. Like
Yeah.
ERP might get covered in technology, but from a process angle, is there any other thing?
Yeah. So if I look at finance, I was just going, so this is not exhaustive by any means. I'm just writing the top few opportunities, but let me answer your question. So if I look at finance in terms of, so this is very common. A lot of smart CAs open their practice and they scale it up. This is typically in terms of finance. The only difference from, are you a CA, if I may ask?
Yeah.
You are a CA. Okay, that's why you were smiling. Okay, so if you are earlier, what you would do routine CA work, now you actually bring in this element of transformation also. You will go to a client and say, not just the routine bookkeeping, audit, tax, but now I will do full digital transformation across the board. That is something comes in. You can bring in that element of change management. So digital transformation, change management, transformation, all that story will now come in. So that is what it is. It's not exhaustive. The list what I've written is just top of what
Understood.
is most common. Yeah.
So I'm already in this domain itself, wherein you're saying the finance transformation side. You also mentioned about GCC
Yeah.
here. So it was more from the angle of a GCC setup
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
booming in India, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming secondly, I think it was the first question which was already asked, but you mentioned change management and execution, right? So when we say the process transformation, it also has the execution angle. Change management, I understand the change readiness part of it and the assessment. Change execution, do you mean something additional over there, or if you can just elaborate on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
part?
So what happens is sometimes the process mapping may or may not have an execution element. Generally has, might not have all the time, but generally has. Execution may not be linked to change or digital in any way. So for example, I am launching a new product. I need to launch. It's a simple execution plan. So what will I execute over next 3 months? It's not change because I keep launching products. Maybe there is no digital element in the first place. So Some element of execution is digital, some element of execution is change. There's some element of execution which is neither digital or neither change. So that part is pure execution. I need to scale up sales by 8%. I don't want change. Just whatever I'm doing, do it better. So that is execution. That is pure. So it's like a Venn diagram. Think of it as a Venn diagram. So some portion of execution, there is commonality, but some portion of it is different.
Will the people angle come here?
Yeah, people angle will definitely come in. This is where the people angle 100% will come, because change is all about human beings.
And the last question around, so I understood the framework part of it. We do use frameworks when we implement certain things or advise the clients. But a frame, and correct me if I'm wrong, I just wanted to understand, a framework doesn't typically always means a matrix or so, right?
No.
It can be as simple as the process steps, which, or as in
Yeah.
the approach which we might be following, or a methodology, right?
Yeah. A framework can have various visual elements. It is not a 2 by 2. It can be like this. Sometimes people, it is about how you are seeing it in your mind. It can be any visual construct. It is not a 2 by 2 or anything.
Yeah, thanks. It answers my question.
Thank you. Karthik, please go ahead.
Uh, Thanks. A very insightful session.
Thank you.
Very well taken also.
Thank you so much.
So I am looking to pivot into GTM strategy. Yeah. As out of the three options which you provided for, would you be covering what are the attributes needed for all three models so that we are clear that these are my strengths and I think I should look into that?
Yes and no. Day 3, I will cover certain element of it. But if I don't answer your question in my narrative, please ask me in the Q&A on day 3. I will answer it explicitly. Some portion of my narrative will cover it. But I will answer it by the end of day 3. I'll answer it in some way for you.
Right. Like, for example, if I'm looking at GTM, is it that, I need to have the best connections in town for us to be successful? If you do not have these connections, don't even look into it. Look into the other two models. That's the kind of sifting which I'm looking out.
So that, Karthik, is not just about GTM. That is generally about personal brand or client connections. That is any type of work you pick, what you just said is applicable. GTM is just a type of work. So that is not about the type of work. That is how the sales funnel will get generated, how the lead projects will come. So that we will do on day 3, how to generate the sales funnel, how to build those ROI conversations. But it is irrespective of the type of work. Any type of work, that question that you said matters. How to do that, we'll look at it on day 3.
Fair point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Janak, you want to go next, please?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Sandeep. I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
Thank you so much.
So, I have a question related to the scope, feedback, scope tips you gave. So, one thing is that what I've learned is that scopes are always like tip of the iceberg. No matter how many questions you ask, there is always something you are left behind with.
Yeah.
And as I'm moving from structured projects to consulting, which is more unstructured, I believe, I'm a little bit hesitant that, how am I going to, what are there any frameworks to create scopes? That was my first question. And a related question on that, because it might help you answer faster, is that you said that try to create metrics, objective, measurable metrics. Now, one hesitation I have in that is that won't it become a liability? For example, if I agree that, okay, I'm going to help you reduce your attrition rate from 21% to 14%, and let's say at end of the day it is 17%. Now, obviously, I have added a lot of value, but can they use that objective metric against me as in the contract?
Okay, very good question. So let's go one by one. So if you're looking at scope, what is a template? Just ask these 4 questions. These 4 should answer most of the problem. What is your product service in focus? What is your region in focus? What's your channel in focus? And what is your time horizon? If these 4 questions you ask, a lot of the ambiguity, underlying ambiguity will go away. These are like most problems will get covered with these 4 questions. So the template that you asked, these are the 4 questions. That's your first answer. The second question that you asked is, if I put a number, is there liability on me in some way? That depends on the deal type. See, that depends on the deal type. So if you are looking at deal type 1, whatever deal type you take, even if you don't put the metric, the client will tell you, prove to me this will work. You anyway have to answer that question. So if you're reducing attrition from 20% to 10%, even if you don't put the 2010 number, they will say, prove to me this will work. So in the roadmap phase, this becomes easy because here it's only a business case. So you can sort of prove it. You can do intelligent maths, benchmarks to prove it. Even with the roadmap and pilot stage, you'll be able to prove it. Some pilot initiatives will work and you'll say, extrapolating it 100 times, this will deliver. Model 3 is where that liability, what you said, what you just described, will come in. Model 3, this deal structure 3. I anyway recommend you don't do this. Hence, you are safe. Model deal structure 1 or deal structure 2, you won't have a problem. But if you don't mention it, some point, some smart stakeholder will ask you to prove it anyway to him.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Okay, great. Sharath, please go ahead, unmute and ask.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thanks for the session. So I have basically two questions. One is with respect to this deal structure. Thankfully, it is in front of me. So, like, so there are two layers. One is where the customer engagement is happening, and then there is a deal structure, right? So, how they're kind of getting interlinked, because there is, suppose I go for, say, roadmap which is for 3 months, so I could have already covered some time in reaching a stage where I'm interacting with the client and trying to win that deal. So at what point in time the transition is happening that yes, you are awarded that kind of a work to proceed with your rest of the due diligence into the process?
Very good question. There is no straight answer. It depends. There because some clients want a lot more, some clients want a lot less. There is no straight answer. Typically, what you tell them is in the pre-contract phase, I will just do a dipstick. The term is called a dipstick, which means I will talk to the CXO once. I will talk to some of your sales team and I will get a superficial level of understanding and tell you this. When I come post the contract, it'll be more detailed. I will speak to 30 of your team members. I'll speak to 10 channel partners. I'll speak to this. So I will do a quick dipstick here just to get a flavor. After the dipstick, and if I convince you with my framework, the conversation ends and the program starts. So dipstick is the word that you go with.
Okay. So, um, okay, thanks. So, because you kind of gave some good example or bad example that people don't get paid because
Yeah.
if you continue to, because 3 months is not a long time, and you might just consume this time in getting the interviews and survey results, etc., etc. So it is tricky. So I was just trying to understand if there is a method, but
Yeah. So on the payment thing, so if your question was on the payment, how do you get payment? The easiest way is to, even it's a 3-month assignment, divide it into milestones. So what are milestones? Milestones can be reports. So I will collect the findings across the 30 customers. It can be workshops. I will do 3 workshops with the leadership teams. And here is my final suggestion. So typically, even in a 3-month, you should have, even if it's a 3-month project, you generally should have one payout every month. So if it's 3 months, you figure out a way to do 2 to 3
yeah.
milestones, and then you start raising the invoice straight away. So you have some leverage. If month 3 the first payout has not come, you hold on to your outcome till the end. Those are small things you can do in terms of, so the guiding principle is one milestone a month, so that payout is a little easier. But some clients are difficult. Sometimes you just burn your hands and you learn and you don't work with them in the future. Some clients are difficult. All of this best practice also doesn't work with them.
Mhm. Thank you. Quickly, the second question is with respect to the second model which you propose in the deal structure, where the execution parts come in, maybe in the pilot form. So, how do we look at the capability to deliver? So, because you being an independent consultant, you rely on the capability that is with the client, or there could be some capability which client can come up that you have to bring in that capability. So, how's that seen? The
It
capability.
Very good question. It will come up in the prioritization chart. Here, if something the client doesn't have capability, it will get lower on ease of implementation. So when you're doing the priority, one of the questions, remember the questions I said, do I have the right people? Do I have the right process? Do I have the right technology? Where you don't have the capability, those ideas will get lower marks on this. And as a result, they will go down in this chart. And hence you'll have to go to a client and say, look at these buckets of initiatives we are doing. This is borderline. This needs to go up. So one of the things you need to work on this. Either I do it or you get somebody from outside. This is where that answer will come from.
Okay, makes
Okay.
sense. Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you. Suren, you want to go next?
Sure, Sandeep. Yeah, so my question is on the model two. So we have for Fortune 500 companies, so there will be a different layers in advisory and professional services, right? So how this frameworks works in those kind of organizations, and how we can implement that in a broader way.
So even if you have a Fortune 500 company with layers of people, the same five-step process actually works, because there you need to do the scope and objective more, because there are multiple people are there. So multiple people have different understanding of the problem. So the step one, step two definitely work there. Framework is also be a deciding factor there, because whoever, if you have three decision makers, all three have to believe that you know my industry, you have clarity. So there also all of this matters. And there, Fortune 500 company, these five-step process matters more, because step four, they will anyway be, we are so smart, what are you going to tell us that I don't know? Hence you need to do step four of scientific way of generating options and prioritization. So when it's a Fortune 500, bets are bigger, people are more stressed and busy, this five-step matters a lot more, because they're just more number of stakeholders at every step.
The reason why I'm asking, so when the first layer goes to the third layer or fourth layers, so complete scope is getting changed, right? Sometimes,
Exactly.
generally, that's happens.
And
So
and what you need to do is exactly what you just said. So that's why the scope conversation has to be done, and the scope conversation has to be agreed to before the program starts. If you're still not able to get an agreement, you need to get all the people in one room and maybe ask the key decision maker to lead and get them to an agreement. All the main people in one room, and or else later on you will burn your hands.
yeah, right. Okay, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you so much, Sandeep.
Thank you. Thank you
Nice
so much.
insights.
Thank you so much. Uh, Shanmuganathan, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, please. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
please go ahead.
Sir, actually, I'm working from Singapore for the past 10 years in IT sector, planning to get into the consulting field. My two short questions, sir. My first question, being a newcomer to the consulting, my first five customers will come from which source, sir? Your predictions. That is my first question.
That I'll tell you on day
Uh,
three. That I'll tell you on
yeah,
day
thank
three.
you.
Okay.
Okay, sir. My second question is detailed, whatever process we do with our customer, we are having a detailed conversation with every stage, with every layers of the people. So at that time, it will be very difficult to command their respect and attention every time. Every time they may think that what this guy knows. I'm in this business for 30, 40 years. So what this guy knows. This kind of thought will occasionally come to the
Yeah.
mind of the stakeholders. How to deal with it, sir? Thank you.
Yeah. So, very good question on the second one. So, that's why when you generate options, you have to do this in a scientific way, so that they cannot, looking at benchmarking, looking at surveys, experts, so that they cannot never say that I have worked for 40 years, what are you going to tell me? So this is the rigor of the process is more important. Also, at a larger level, things like your framework, your brand, the storytelling, the negotiation, all of this will actually build that respect before you come to that stage. That's why these 3+3, 6 steps are so important. This will set the base where they do not doubt you in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Chaitanya, please go ahead. You're next on my screen. Yes.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Please go ahead.
Thank you for the wonderful questions, Sandeep. It's been a very, very long time since you've written so much. My it's swollen.
Please
It's
go
a good
ahead.
session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A lot of questions on the scope. My question is also on the scope. I think you'll get into far more detail in the third day. But sometimes scoping itself is an exercise. People don't know what they want. A couple of clients I've been speaking to, they don't really know what they want. So we do the engagement start from making the scope document. Okay, that is number question number one. Question number two, it might be a very innocuous requirement as small as, for example, I have a presentation deck which I need to have an international clients. Can you redo the deck? But the redoing the deck is just not visual. It's a lot of understanding of the positioning. It needs to go into a lot of strategy. So in case they give a specific program or a job like that, how do we define the scope? Because apparently it is a very innocuous thing of redesigning or redoing the deck, but it will involve much more than redoing the deck. It will involve a lot more thinking before they actually doing the deck. Right?
Yeah.
So how do we handle this?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So the first thing is the scope and the objective has to be finished before your contract or letter of engagement come in. No matter how much your client pushes you, because you will burn your hands later. It is better to have this unpleasant conversation at the beginning rather than burning your hands later. So all the scope, if there are too many people, they are not able to agree, it makes sense to call a workshop of the three main decision makers, sit in a room, get them to agree. If you can't do it, go to the senior most person and say, you have to give me this document. What are the region, product, channel, time? What is the metric? Without this, I cannot proceed. This needs to be done. It's a hard conversation, or else you will burn your hands later on. It just has to be done. Only after that, the contract and the letter of engagement starts. It does not, scope document is before any commercial, because all your commercials are linked to what you agree. So all of this has to be done before the scope. So that is number one. Number two, what you said is sometimes innocuous requirements come. Could be making a slide, could be making a small project. Sometimes it just depends. You just have a, maybe you don't need to like go through all the steps. If you think it's innocuous, sometimes you may just go to a, and sometimes clients also don't know what they want. So in that case, there is a concept which is called a straw man. I was going to do this tomorrow. You basically tell them a sort of skeleton of what you are going to draw. Sometimes when you give people some output, they react and you know what they want. So maybe you will say, look, I am going to build these three slides. This is what I know. Here is the heading. Here are two bullet points. Here is the heading. Here are two bullet points. It's just a skeleton. Is this what you have in mind? Now, this is a skeleton, so you don't have to spend too much time. And then you see their reaction and then you build from that. Sometimes people need to see this to react and say, no, this is not what I want. So when it comes to decks, this is a tactic that we often did. Just tell them the headline and two bullet points and see their reaction.
Just one more small
Yeah,
question, if I may.
please.
Uh, See, I in the GTM mode, I'm a brand and marketing person all my life. So there's very sometimes very thin line between advisory and execution, right? Sometimes the execution matters much more than the advisory bit. Right? They're looking for things like that. So where do we exactly draw the line between advisory and getting the project executed, right? So
It is here. Deal structure one and two. Deal structure one and two is where you draw the line. You will tell them, I will do the roadmap, I will help you pilot, I will consolidate learnings, and I will move on. That is the line. Do not get into execution. You will have to figure this out on your own. The hard line is drawn there between pilot and national rollout.
okay.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
All right, great. Thank you. Let me keep moving forward. Sonaru, you are next on my screen. Yes, please.
Thank you, Sandeep sir, for the opportunity.
Thank
I'm
you.
really enjoyed today's session and excited for the next one.
Thank you so
And my
much.
question is related to the SME consulting. So, do you have any session on this, or it is also applicable for like the framework model you have mentioned? All are applicable for that also.
It is totally applicable for that. See, one of the things what I said here is family businesses are 70% of all companies are family owned businesses. Most of these businesses are SME, MSME businesses, most of the family owned businesses, and everything that I've said is applicable to them also. Same
Okay,
same way
and
to think
right.
is applicable to them.
Okay, I have a second question, if I may, sir.
Please go ahead.
So actually, I am a non-IT background. So being non-IT background, I'm a professional of power and energy sector. So my question is, to have a very successful career in consulting, do I have to learn like Power BI, data analytics tool, kind of soft skill? I mean, so it's
No,
actually
I'll tell you what you need to know. You don't need to know the depth of the tech, but you need to understand the overview. And AI can do this very easily when we do one. So you need to know what is cloud. You need to know what is cyber. You don't need to know in Azure what is the tech stack and which module is there. You need to know what is Salesforce, but you don't need to know what are the 23 modules in Salesforce and expense management, how it works. So you need to have superficial knowledge of the tech architecture. How to do it? Day three, I will tell you. ChatGPT does an excellent job of just giving you basic information that you need to know.
okay. Thank you for the answer.
Great. Thank you. Mayan, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly,
You are. Thanks,
please.
Alip.
Yeah.
So, I worked in corporate world for last 24 plus years and primarily into cyber. Now I started my consulting firm. So I'm trying to relate this with the learnings as to where I stand because I'm also run establishing as a business, as a strategy and methodologies, right? So some of the frameworks and tools that you have suggested fits into different stages of that process. So just trying to understand, in this journey of when you're starting your firm as a consulting, sometimes it's not directly that you get a client. You have to set, you have to create all your services, catalogs, and then build your, pipelines. So I understand you will cover some of these in the third day, but just trying to understand that
Yeah.
piece.
So the sales funnel I'll cover on the same third day, but just to give you an idea on the offerings. So mine, this is my personal view. I don't have data for this, but this is what I've generally seen. It makes sense to start with a hero offering, uh, take it to a position where you're very strong. Then at the existing client where you have done very well, bring in a secondary offering and then you keep growing. Then to get to a point where you're very strong, then an existing client, you build a third offering. So one of the mistakes I've seen independent consultants make is they start with 5 offerings. Don't do it. Start with one offering, build it. Then wherever a client is happy, build a second offering, grow it. So that's how you typically, that's a very good growth model to follow. If you start with figuring out what should be my complete stack, it doesn't work because stacks are always evolving. So what you know very well, start with that, maximize, then keep experimenting.
Got it.
Okay. This is my personal view of what works. I don't have research to prove this, but this is what I've generally seen works.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Uh, Sandeep, I think I answered your question, isn't it? Your hand is up. Rajiv Da, I didn't answer your question.
I have one more, if you all.
Sandeep, I will take yours at the end if you don't mind. Once I finish, I'll
Sure.
answer everything, but I'll answer.
Sure.
Rajiv Da, I didn't answer yours, right? Or did I answer?
Yeah. No, no.
Okay, please go ahead, Rajiv Da. Yeah.
So first of all, thank you, Sandeep, for a great,
Thank you.
insight today. What have I've been in leadership journey for more than 3 decades. One problem I always faced, I have worked with BCG, I have worked with, McKinsey. They give a excellent, frameworks, but always difficulty in the
Yeah.
executions. So I am just thinking, how do we can reduce the execution gap? I should not be a similar way, what I used to face there as a, client. Most of the time, they give a very excellent framework, but when you're going to execute, you have a lot of difficulties.
Yeah. So very good question, Dava. Happens all the time. I think the trick is this stage of pilot, they miss out. So what happens is if you've identified these are 3 things for a pilot, and if you do that pilot stage well, automatically you will know what is going on the ground and what is not growing on the ground. So pilot stage is something they miss out. McKinsey is also not trained for execution. If you're looking at any execution, these are questions we always used to ask. So what is the objective you're trying to achieve? So if you're looking at a new software tool, maybe 20% of people should use the tool. Then the question we would always ask is common sense. Why should they use it? It's a combination of incentive, it's a combination of carrot. What will you tell them? Why should, as in, what is the benefit for you? We would talk about this, as in, how will you make them use it? So simplify in terms of transactions. When will they use it? So you make it easier and say beginning of the day when you come in, end of the day when you come in, etc. So when you do an execution charter for an initiative, all these questions should be answered. So if we have clarity, and McKinsey may not have, we have clarity, then it goes into the pilot, much higher chances of success.
Many common sense thing miss out. Like, I
Yeah.
did one with the cost reduction.
Yeah.
Say that you reduce the GSM size of the box. I am in a health sector. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the moment you reduce the GSM size of the box, the inside your, say, strips are coming out. So ultimately, the entire project done, whatever is saved, you have changed the machines. Again, we purchase the machines, go back to the old one.
Yeah.
So
So
these are
that is why the pilot matters so much.
okay.
Because if pilot means you do it at a small budget, so sometimes we also can't project what will happen. So that's why the pilot matters so much. You do it on a small scale, max you will lose that small amount of money. This is why the pilot is so important.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Narayani, did I answer your question? I haven't, right? I have.
Yes, I just had one small
Can I
follow-up
come to you
question.
at the end if you don't mind, just to be fair? I'll answer everything, I'll finish everyone else, and then I'll come back.
Sure.
Sandeep, I'll come back to you once I finish everybody. Okay, I'll come back to you. Gaurav, please go ahead.
Hi, Sandeep. Thank you very much for the session.
Thank
So,
you.
Sandeep, actually, 2 years back, I started my own consulting firm. So, I am a power sector and renewable energy consultant. So, basically, helping the companies to set up their business with the help of the regulatory and statutory approvals. So currently, I'm getting the orders from all the big firms like Tata, Adani, Wadi, but they are giving me it as a service, not as a consulting part. So I can help them to set up their solar plants or anything else in a specifically state in a particular state also. But they are giving me the orders of the approvals. कि मेरे लिए आप ये approval लेके आइए. So am I drifting away from the consulting part?
No, you are not. If you think there is enough scope to scale this business and your clients are happy and you're making decent money, you are not drifting.
Because 90% of orders are coming on this part only. Only 10% are consulting me how we can set up this new EV business in
Consulting is a broad bucket, any problem. So you are talking to me, I am doing consulting for you. So any
yeah.
business problem that is getting solved is consulting. So as long as there is enough order coming, like you're saying it's coming, you're happy with your billing rates, and you have a good list of clients growing, please do it. Nothing wrong in it.
Yeah, but that orders we have to fulfill with my own team. So that is running to get the approvals and
That's
so
okay. You're going into execution mode basically. You are doing execution. Like I said, it's always tricky because anything goes wrong, they will blame you. If you are comfortable doing it, do it. But execution is always a double-edged sword. They'll tell you in 2 months you have to get an approval. Unrealistic timelines will be set. Some days you will have attrition in your team. People will go away. So all these execution issues will be there. But if you've managed to crack it, please do it. Nothing wrong in doing it. If you've managed to crack it.
okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sajid, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, first of all, thank you so much for this first insightful session.
Thank you.
And my question is that, for example, we understand the format of this workshop for about 6 to 8 hours over a 3 day period. But do you think that this is enough to start a consulting practice, or you have another format where we go deep dive for a week?
Uh, so it depends. So a lot of people from this 3 days have started it. It depends. It's like a crash course in terms of how to do it. What I think it does very well is it makes people think about the hard questions. Sometimes people come and say, I definitely want to do this after 3 days. Sometimes people come and say, this is not worth it. So it at least makes people the hard question. On day three, I anyway give a roadmap, which is fairly simple to follow. So a lot of people do it for 3 months, 6 months and see how it goes. So it depends. Like I said, it depends in terms of that.
No, no, it's a great session, actually, but probably, for example, there must be many framework for different scenarios and different industries, and you practice a lot, for example, deep dive, then you will really have a skill and knowledge to take it on as an independent consultant.
Yeah, Of course, of course. So there are other programs we have. Maybe if there's enough interest, we'll talk about it sometime. But there are other, because some people reach out to us separately and they say, Sandeep, I'm serious about this, but in 6 hours there's only so much you can cover. So tell me a longer journey. So if there is interest, we'll see. We'll see separately. We'll see.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Madhavi, please go ahead. Unmute and ask.
Hi, Sandeep. Thanks for the session.
Thank you.
I am following you since quite some time
Thank you.
now. And I learned about the tea thing that you have taught in Raj Shamani's podcast and stuff. Right now, I am like 12 years of experienced IT professional working in technology. Technology is my biggest, like, I am considered as expert, very quick learner, problem solving, everything is there. The only thing that I am struggling right now is getting good opportunities which can, I think that companies are not leveraging my potential, and it is, I am feeling stuck, and I want to move at a certain speed as far as my career is concerned, but I am stuck because I'm not getting the opportunities. So getting opportunities and networking is one of the two things that I feel that I should be working on. Obviously, by following you, Raj, on so many things, I understand this about myself. So, is there anything which I can get from this particular workshop that is going on for 3 days? Will it help me
Yeah.
somehow? Do you have any
Day
directions for
three.
me?
Day three, we'll talk about it. Some of it is because of the personal brand, connections, visibility, storytelling. All of these practical things we'll talk on day three. How to just become more visible, how to negotiate better, how to build a better brand. All of this we'll do on day three.
Sure. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Manindra, you're next on my screen, please.
Yeah, thank you, Sunil.
Thank you.
I'm into HR analytics, especially rewards analytics for last 10 years. And I want to start trading as well as consulting business. But I'm always doubtful that this is very narrow niche. Do you think there is good enough scope in this area?
We'll do this more on day three, but it is a little narrow. You will need to start with change management and add these as secondary offerings. So, but we'll do this more in day three. But that's the just the short answer to your question.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moshimi, please go ahead. You're next.
Hello, Sandeep.
Yeah.
It was a very nice session.
Thank you.
Basically, I have two questions. Please
Yeah.
bear with me because I'm connected from laptop as well as my
Yeah,
mobile.
I can figure out. Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. My first question I would just like to ask you is that my background is primarily in AI enablement, technical training, and SME-led adoption programs. So this consulting role basically requires, creating enterprise frameworks and transformation strategies. So how do you see someone with my experience, like I have 18 plus years of experience, in transiting into the role, and how can I best leverage my AI enablement and technical SME expertise to create business frameworks that can actually drive the AI adoption? That is my first question.
Moshimi, this is day three. We'll do this in depth in day three.
Okay, can I ask you a second question?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay, just a minute. I've noted down the questions actually. Just bear with me.
Yeah, please, please.
Okay, my second question is, how does the organizations actually expect consultants like me to actually bring in tangible change, like in terms of AI adoptions and enablement programs?
Okay, let's answer this. So what is the value add a consultant is really bringing in? So let's look at it. Some people may ask, I mean, honestly, we don't say rocket science. So why are they going to pay us so much money? It's not rocket science we are saying. So one is there is a external perspective that we are bringing in because you are there in the market. Sometimes people, when they work in the company, they only have that internal data. Because you're outside, you have access to that external data a lot more. Number two is you will be unbiased because you have no stakes. You may be more open to saying the truth. People, so if you're solving an attrition problem, the HR of Accenture itself won't want to give a view that they have done a bad job, but you may have no issue. You may point out that something was not done well. Number three is politics. Sometimes, if a person from outside says the same thing, job just gets done very easily. I'll tell you about my wife. Every time I come for a masterclass, my wife says, "Comb your hair. Please comb your hair." Okay, I never do it. I have hired a social media manager. I pay her 50,000 rupees a month. She tells me, "Comb your hair." I comb my hair. So sometimes it is as simple as that. Someone from outside says it, you listen. Some of you are smiling, but this is actually true. So this is the third big agenda. The fourth, in terms of why a consultant really adds value, is in terms of the focus. So what happens is the internal team is working on multiple projects, but you as a consultant is dedicated on that one project. So your ability to just move things are much faster. So here are some of the benefits in terms of why you can come and get that change done.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's move. Venu, you are next on my screen.
Yeah. Hi, Sandeep.
Yeah, please go.
I'm actually from architectural design consulting background.
Please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
please go
So
ahead. Yeah, sure.
yeah, I'm from that background. So what I see in the industry is most of our services is like commoditized.
Yeah.
So they are sold by time.
Yeah.
And so I'm a bit confused if I should diversify my services into other industries, or should I concentrate, and how do the, I mean, and also how your frameworks will help me.
Day three, we will do the route to market.
Okay.
Day three, we will do this in depth. Frameworks will help you when you're discussing with any big clients. How will you approach their problem? They will love the clarity. So, what is the objective of the framework? I know what you want. I have clarity. That's what you're trying to show. Any client will love a framework. Whether it's a builder who's coming to you and you're giving an architectural plan, they will definitely love it. How to do the route to market? We'll do it on day three.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Prashant sir, you're next on my screen.
Yeah, hi, Sandeep. Thank you so much for this
Yes.
session.
Please go.
Okay. My question is like in every consultancy, there are like sometimes it may be very vast. There may be 10 verticals, and you're expert in like 5 to 6 kind of verticals in that expertise. And there are some things that client wants, and you see there's a lot of opportunity to get the business, and you can really deliver. How do you tackle this situation? Is it advisable to rope in the external like freelancers or some other consultants to get in and help you deliver the project, or how do you deal with
Uh,
it?
so ideally, sir, if it is adjacent to your capability, you pick it up. If it is like you've done, some of it, the rest you pick it up. If it is something totally new,
Mm.
uh, first 2 years you don't risk it, because even if you get someone from outside, how well they will deal with the client, you're taking a leap of faith. So
I love you,
first two
Mama.
years you don't get somebody else. After 2 years, even if you get somebody else, you put them only in the back end work while you do the client interaction. So that's how you look at it. Typically, unless you've grown to like 3 4 years, you do not put another equivalent person in front of the client, because you can't trust the person that they will do such a good job. So that's how you look at it. So any adjacent offering you pick for the first 2 years, non-adjacent offering you ignore in terms of.
I understand. I'm not asking totally different kind of service, which is totally beyond my scope
Yeah.
of
Then you
my
don't
work.
hire. Then
But
you do it.
for
Then you
example,
do it. Then you
yeah,
do it.
exactly. But for example, now digital transformation is a new thing. Every organization is going through digital transformation. I'm not an IT guy, but I'm a technical guy, but not an IT guy who can do the digital transformation. So is it advisable to not to lose this opportunity, hire someone to get the job done, and then you supervise and see that deliverables are there, like
There is
from
an
that.
easier way to do this. We'll talk about it on day three. If I don't answer this question, please ask me in the Q&A. There is a
Right.
very simple way to just do this. In the Q&A on day three, please ask me, I'll tell you if I don't answer it to the narrative.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Biswajit, you're next on my screen.
Hi, Sandeep. Thank you so much for the insightful session.
Please go ahead.
My question is, I am in a banker in a tier two city in Northeast, and my forte is I get funds for MSMEs in project finance, working capital expansion, and I know financial modeling and other stuff. So I don't know sector-wise problem solving, but I know how to solve the problem of funding. Just simple question: can I build my consultancy around that?
Yes, how to build sector-wise knowledge, we'll look at it on day three. AI can do it very easily. I will show it to you on day three. So if you understand like a function, which you said, raising funds for them, what is the sector nuance? AI can teach you that. I'll show it to you on day three, how to use AI for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Kushal, you are there. Are you there, Kushal?
Hi, sir. Am I
Yes.
audible?
There's a bit of disturbance, but please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great session and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of learning. So looking forward for much today's exciting session. So, sir, I'm working in TCS for the last 14 years. So I've got experience in logistics and finance in both. So I'm looking to transition my career into management consulting. So I have two business plans in my mind. One is into food space, and another is into management kind of consulting. So, what framework will help in both the business? Because both the business will be having a different frameworks altogether. So, could you just highlight on that?
We'll do this on day three because the transition and the go-to-market will also matter. We'll do this in detail in day three. If it is not answered explicitly, please ask your question in the Q&A if I don't explicitly answer it.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much.
Bhavna, you're next.
Yeah, hi, I'm an ex-banker. I have worked mainly in the credit card and the personal industry. I started the consultancy probably in late 2024. Initially, I was getting the good assignments on my own, either on fortnightly or the monthly basis. But somehow, the later on, the assignment that keep on coming were a different domain, the pension, the retail core retail banking and the wholesale banking. The different thing that I have got, brief theoretical knowledge, but I have not got a practical exposure to that. So I just stopped picking them. Now I am not getting assignments. So that is the one core issue. The secondly, then, I just specialize myself, position myself in a way that I am a fraud investigation consultant since I have got couple of achievements since 2002 till date. Prior to the thing when fraud investigation department was there, on records. So, based on that, a lot of people are getting engaged with me. In fact, the senior leader, the MD, CEOs are following me as well. But somehow I'm not getting the assignments at all. I spoke to one senior SVP level person. He told me that probably, we have got 200 people strength with me, and generally we don't hire anybody from outside. But if we need to, then we take somebody from operating at a global level. So, somehow I'm stuck in that also
Ma'am,
since I have positioned myself that.
we'll do both of these on day three. Both of these will be covered
And
on day three. If I don't explicitly answer it for you, please ask me in the Q&A. In the third day Q&A, I'll answer this for you.
just let me allow me a moment
Yeah.
also. There's a third question as well. I just then explored myself in different directions, and I wrote two books. One both on mindset, one on psychology, one on neuroscience. Though books are getting the good response, but somehow I'm not getting entry into the corporates to position myself in that particular domain and have the speaking gigs. So I don't know where exactly I should put my efforts into and how to position myself.
Day three, ma'am. Personal brand also, this entire ecosystem we'll do on day three only.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shashwati, you want to go next, please?
Yeah, Sandeep, thank you so much. Very insightful session. I just have one question. Like I went through all the models that you have mentioned about the framework and dashboards, etc. But what do you think is the core skill of a person should have just to be a good consultant? I mean, other than your personality, other than your knowledge or your expertise in different domain or in the
Just these
industry.
three.
Yeah.
These three here and these three. This is what you need. These three is what you need. These three on the left and three on the right. That is what it takes to be in the top, the best of the best. The rest are just tools. If you have these six, it's sorted. The rest are just tools, I'm telling you.
Okay, I have one more question if
Yeah,
it's okay.
please.
So, okay, so once you have built this three, or you already have, like when you are discussing your first clientele, or you get your first clientele, you have to be really prepared or do your homework about their company, about their data, or their revenue model,
Yeah.
etc., right? Other
Yeah.
than just asking about the scope or
Yeah.
what they're looking into, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we will do this on day three. AI can help you prepare very well for clients, the people you're meeting, how do they stack in the market, how to use AI. It's one of the use cases I will show on day three, how to be
Okay,
very well prepared for this conversation.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Rehana, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, please go ahead, unmute and ask.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep.
Thank you.
Very exciting session with
Thank you.
you. Thanks a lot. And I have an hospital administration background, and I have worked as an quality management professional. And right now, I'm in HR field. And in many of the slides, many times you have focused on a word like scientific data diagnosing like that. So I have heard about SWOT analysis and other managerial tools to solve the problems. So as a consultant, shall we do the same? If they asked or not, if the clients asked or not, we have to do such things. That you mean about this um, scientific way?
Yes.
What is exactly mean by scientific way?
So
Yes, that's I want to
scientific,
know.
yeah. So scientific means, for example, they cannot challenge your work. So for example, if you're looking at generating options, scientific means benchmarking with whoever is a leader in your market, whoever is a global leader, whoever is in a different industries, looking at consumer surveys. So this is scientific because cannot get challenged, because this is the most logical way to do it. So that is an example of scientific. Or when we build frameworks, the way we look at those
General perspective on the problem, right?
yeah,
General.
yeah, yeah. They will work even in a corporate. Yes, yes, yes. So even in a corporate, they will work. So
Okay.
all the
Not.
principles. Yeah. Please finish. Please finish. Yes.
So we should not go too deep into the managerial tools or something.
No, no, no. What I'm telling you is more than enough. So whatever I'm going to tell you over 3 days
Mm.
is like distilled. It's like 10 steps. Just follow it. It's just follow it. If you do this much, it is more than enough. You don't
Yeah.
need to do more than this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
clarification.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Kishore, are you there?
Hi, Sandeep.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you for the insightful session.
Thank you.
Sandeep, just a quick question. So, actually, I'm a business analyst working in IT sector from past 10 years. So, actually, I'm into a model of digital transformation where I'll do the process mapping, recommending the solutions to the clients and all. Okay, from quite few days, I'm working on the problem solving, like taking the few frameworks like Missy thinking, product mapping, and also how to market product and all. So what I did is when I changed my profile from business analyst to the consultant, so I see opportunities are not coming. How to project myself when once this I excel into this consultant role, because when I'm changing my technical role into the consultant, the opportunities are not coming in terms of shortlisting my profile and all.
Yeah, Kishore, we will do this on day three. Day three, we will do this. If I don't answer it explicitly, please ask me in the Q&A. I'll answer it in the Q&A for you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
great. Thank you. Sandeep, you want to go next, please?
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep, for giving me
Yes.
another opportunity.
Please
Earlier, I thought there should be only one question, but as we move
go.
ahead, it will be more.
Please go.
So my quick question, I have a four questions. I noted it down. How to find if there is a multiple line of business I'm having, which will be appropriate for me?
Day three.
So day
Day
three.
three. I'll
Okay.
tell you the template. Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to learn about the soft side, which you mentioned,
Day
like
three.
storytelling?
Negotiation,
Okay.
storytelling, day three. Yeah.
My third question is I deal lot of things in for the business Japanese side of it. basically in one of my line of business. So you know that Japanese people are more talked about the quality.
Yeah.
So are we need to incorporate that also into our framework when specifically for the regional
No,
side?
no. There is a way, so there is a different angle of culture. It has to be handled differently. We'll talk again on day three. Quality does not need to be explicitly factored in. It's understood it is there in the framework. It is understood it is there. The process
Understood.
itself is the quality. Doesn't need to be explicitly called out.
And I hope my last one also might be covered also in these 3 days. How to scale up, or when you see that you're good to go for the scaling up in a
Yeah.
multiple layer, I can say.
We'll do this day
Uh,
three. Okay, this is also day three. The
okay,
GTM
thank
scale
you.
up is all day three.
Wonderful. Thank you. Nice to talk with
Thank
you.
you. Arvind, we'll do yours. It's your first question. Yes, please. You're on mute. Arvind, you're on mute.
Uh, for a wonderful session, Sandeep. Thanks a lot. It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Just want to reflect because of my journey when I was a chief operating officer in a company. So, as a consultant, can one, as a CEO in a company, can one also propose a roadmap to the MD or the ownership of a company? Because when you said that
100%.
70% of
100%.
so and is there a way to make them patient in understanding the roadmap, or would they, or is there a way for the CEO not to fall into the trap of the MD when he's looking for immediate solutions? Because that is how
That's when you get the
ownership-led
consumption.
companies.
That's when you get the outside guy. Because if the outside guy comes and says, you need to be patient, this will take time, the MD will listen. If the CEO says it will take time, the MD will think this guy is not working.
Fair. So the game has to be played on two fronts, that you directly are proposing the right thing, and of course the outsider is validating
Outside.
what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And you basically shoot from the outsider's shoulder.
Perfect.
This is the
Thank you.
politics angle which I have written here. That is the politics angle.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Narayani, please go ahead.
Thanks, Sandeep. I was also just restricting myself to one question.
No, please go ahead.
Follow-up question. So I am a trainer slash coach. I have about 15 years corporate experience in L&D, 1 year since I started off independently. So on the frameworks and the 5 steps that you said, should I have a standard framework or some of the standard frameworks for some of the common problems that I solve? Or are you suggesting we do this every time and with
Realistically, what will happen is if the problem is similar, so even in my case, when I do storytelling, 80% of the framework is the same. Depending on the client conversation, a few things here and there change. If I do the same kind of problem multiple times, core framework is 80% similar. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. A few things here and there may change depending on what you're hearing.
Okay. And thank you for that. And I liked your point on the hero offering.
Yeah.
In my case, a hero offering can be like top 3 things that are my niche, right? So, so what do you see work well? Um, do you see, in my case, I don't want to be restricting myself to just 1 or 2 things and lose opportunities because of that. So what do you recommend from your experience about the offerings which are top one?
Pick one, do it very well. Once you're relatively confident, pick a second one, do it relatively well. Then pick a third one, do it relatively well. The mistake some people make is they try and do too much at the beginning and it goes haywire. So pick one, get 5 clients who've done it well, and the 5 will only give you the opportunity for the second offering. That's how you do. So pick one, dominate, pick two, dominate, and then you keep growing. Don't pick too many at the beginning. It's going to be difficult.
Okay. And then that 1, 2, 3 becomes our top.
Yeah. And the fourth will come in and the fifth will come in. The more you get matured in each, they will become your hero offerings in course of time. But pick one, dominate, pick another one, dominate, do one at a time. That's the easiest way.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Sundar, I'll come to you. Raman's first
Yeah,
question.
I'll come after Ramana. Yeah.
Yeah. So Raman, please go ahead. Yeah. Raman, please unmute. Yeah. Yes.
Hi, this is Ramana Rao.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
You
Yeah.
asked me?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the great session.
Thank you so much.
See, actually, I'm consulting for a fashion brand, and it's a very new one. So, just wanted to know that if they don't have the resources to pay, can we trade for equity, something like that?
Sir, I personally don't recommend, sir. I
Okay.
think I am very clear that we are in this business for cash. Cash is king. If
Okay.
you are extremely confident that their business will go on to do very well in the future, you can look at equity. It's something I don't recommend. Most businesses don't last that long. It's not worth it.
Okay.
Cash is the most important, sir. If they don't have the cash, don't work with them. My personal practical opinion on this.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sundar, yes, last
Yeah,
question. We'll call
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So, so I'm into software, cloud software industry for more than like 18 years. Um, and I feel that there are some areas that I'm doing very well. Like, and I can solve problems. I can even think about software go to market, and I even challenge my product offering and sales on how do they map the particular product and feature to the regions and all that, right? I feel like there are a few areas that I'm good at, and I'm able to do justice to that in my current role. But when it comes to consulting, right, when I see myself as an individual consultant and going to start a business, I am not seeing, or I'm not having visibility on what opportunities are there out there, which is going to give me the best buck for my, the effort that I'm going to do. Like, is my software solutioning is having a bigger worth outside? When I go and project myself in that area, is it going to help, or should I go as a product offering kind of consultancy and then say, based on my experience, this is the correct go to market, this is how you should do it. So I need a mapping of my skill set, my strengths to
We'll
what
do
is
this
out
on day
in the
three.
market. Yeah,
We'll do this on
that's
day
one,
three.
right?
So how
And
to
second
answer
thing,
this? We'll do this. Yeah.
okay,
Please go ahead.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And the second question is, we talked about like why clients, pay well to the consultants. I mean, you put on a lot of points, right? So within my company, when I see, we usually give, projects to the external clients, not just like just for consulting and just for giving some ideas on what to do, but rather they always give that entire project or anything, everything to a third party, mainly because of the reason that it's not factored into their AOP. It's more than what they were thinking, and they wanted to achieve more, right? And there, when it comes, it's mostly combined with both thought process, consulting plus execution. That's how it always goes, and then it goes to some reputed companies and all that. This is the situation in a Fortune 500. But I'm not sure, like, is that the reality for the other small companies and
No.
medium companies,
If
or
you
how do they really do it?
if you are an independent consultant, irrespective of what they offer you, you should not do execution. You should only look at the deal structure one and two. You will burn your hands. Irrespective of whether they offer you on a deal structure, two is the max level of engagement you should go through. After that, you should. It's just practical way to
Yeah,
safeguard.
yeah. I'm trying to understand the client's mindset. Like, with always Fortune 500 will go for a combined consultant plus execution. Like small
It
companies will
depends.
go for
It
client. Okay.
depends. Both
Hmm.
models are there. They can call Accenture and say do the whole thing end to end. They can call a BCG and say do module one. They can give it to a local tech player module two. Sometimes they may say we will do module two. So it
Hmm.
depends. I think there is no hard and fast rule. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on the politics. It depends on time, how desperate they are, how much money they have. All of these matter. It depends how serious the project is in the first place. All of this, it depends. There's no hard and fast answer for this.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you tomorrow afternoon. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Sandeep.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.